the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's new.
What's up, everybody? It's Ryan Weaver. I am on the Don't Unfriend Me show, otherwise known as The Dumb Show, with host Matt Spear. You guys can find the show at The Dumb Show on social media or thedumbshow.com.
Come on, man. Can you feel the pain? Into him now. About this new world. Ain't no drag. Papa's got a brand new eye.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Matt and Leeroy in the house tonight. Good to have you in. Got a good show tonight. We've got Leeroy in a new way, not the full new rig that we are going to be sending him with new audio and new video and everything, but we got his new phone, and you're going to see Leeroy in a completely new light. Now, he's not going to sound quite the same because he's using headphones, but man, does he look good graphically. We're going to talk about that. Got a whole...
That's the first time those words have ever been uttered.
It's going to be a good show tonight. So we've got Leeroy live. Myself, Olivia is off. Ethan is at a play and actually doing choir or some shit. I don't know. But we've got a good one for you tonight. Please do me a favor and make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. It helps keep the show going on. Donation-based site, we know that. We are funded by us and only us. We don't have any giant corporations or sponsors. We've shedded all that extra baggage and got rid of any sponsors because, honestly, we don't want anyone to tell us what to say and what not to say. And we got a good show tonight. If you have not had a chance to watch us before, please do me a favor and share us with your friends and family. I promise you won't be disappointed. There's some language once in a while, but you guys should be okay. We're pretty good people. What's been going on, Leeroy?
Gosh, not too much. We're just keeping an eye on the world stage, and to my understanding, the things are spiraling quickly in China, so much so that they are now listed as the country with the largest debt ever in history, and now we're keeping an eye on their GDP, which appears to have been fudged numbers for the last decade or so.
Yeah. People might, I just got a comment, text said, Matt, it looks like you've been crying. Well, Leeroy's not gentle. No, that's not it. I just put in my contacts and I had to put in some fake tears.
And Leeroy's not gentle.
And Leeroy's not gentle. And I had to swap my contacts in them right before the show. So my eyes don't like contacts. Anyway, it's nice that you look good. This is like the best anyone's ever seen you. 5 years. They probably don't even know what you really look like because, the camera. So you look fantastic. You sound like shit, but you look good.
Well, You got to have goals. So
yeah, everyone's like, he sounds different. I've already addressed it. He's on headphones. He hasn't.
Yeah.
He's getting a full new rig. We had to get the lighting. I mean, everything's going to change, but this is really just kind of. We wanted to get the camera fixed. We were having some problems with crashing, so I brought him in on the old system. So he's going to sound different. We
normally use this mic, which is actually a really great mic. This is a pod mic.
Yeah.
However, for the day, we have to use the Sony just earbuds. So I'm going to sound very different. Apologies to anybody who got used to the sound of my old sexy baritone voice.
Yeah, I'm going to see if this try that. So let's see how that sounds.
All right. Well, let's see how that sounds. How do I sound?
He sounds like he's
dummies.
You sound like you're in a tin can, but everything else is good. So you're echoey. You sound like you're in a tin can. It's just the way it's going to be, and it's going to sound like shit. So there's nothing we can do about that until next time. But like I said, we're working on new camera, new audio equipment, everything. We're going to send it out and make it better. All right. So either way, we had to fix it because he would crash, and then he wouldn't be on the show altogether because of the old software. But this seems to be balancing. Knock on wood. We'll make sure it works. All right. Keith Ellison was in front of the House committee today, and he was brought in from Minnesota. Oh, Deborah likes her new shirt. Got my shirt with my shirt with my name on it. That's outstanding. Good. If you guys haven't been over to the Dumb store, go over to it, dumbshow.com. Get yourself coffee, some hats, some shirts, whatever. You can do that after you like the show. We have an amazing store, by the way. The coffee has been selling out like crazy. If you've not had a chance to go over there, please go get some coffee. So here we go. Keith Ellison was over I've got two fairly long videos, and then I'm going to expose Massie. Massie's he's done. I don't know if you guys know this, but he's down by 31 points. In August, they did a soft poll, and it was about 30, and current projections are that he's down by 40 points. He's going to get primaried. He's going to lose, and good, he should. He's a piece of shit. I never want to see him in politics again, and people are saying how great he is, and he's a constitutionalist. No, he's a pig. He's a pig fucker, and I can say that with all absolute confidence. Did the Navy change their policy on beards? Well, I can answer that question, but I'm going to let him answer it.
Nope, no, they haven't. But fortunately, I don't have to shave when I'm not in uniform. So there you go.
That's it.
There was always this old stigma that said that as long as you were wearing the uniform, that you're not supposed to have a beard, right? However, when you're not in uniform, I mean, there's no point, right? You can get things like a no shave chit, but yeah, I don't have those.
So you're white. You don't get no shave chits. So that's not racist. That's true. 99% of all no shave chits are usually for people who have a horrible condition on their neck, and it's fortunately a lot of African Americans have it. And
well, I'm 30% African American, so
yes, from the waist down. But any white guys that have it, basically, it's because they don't know how to shave. That's usually what it is. They're going against the grain, or they're idiots, or they don't warm their face.
Yeah, they're shaving up rather than down.
Their mommy and daddies didn't tell them. All right, so here's the deal. So some people are saying, hey, Thomas Massie, he's a good guy. He voted. No, that's not what happened. Like I said last night, his vote was on a procedural vote, and he was voting against the House being able to move up anyone who is looking for a rule change or a procedural change to delay votes. And so what they would do is they would introduce a procedural change and then be like, oh, well, we get to go home for the day because everyone has to have 24 hours to look at this. Well, that slows down the making of the cake. And when that happens, you get situations like, obviously, people are not able to move legislation through fast enough. So what they wanted to do was if you bring up a procedural vote, you get to vote on it that minute and everyone doesn't have to go home. Well, you shouldn't be like, well, wait, what if nobody's there? Well, then you shouldn't be bringing up procedural votes to change it, should you? So there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't change. It doesn't change money. It doesn't change processes. It doesn't change the legislation. It just gives them the power not to cancel for the day. And this is how they extend shit for weeks and weeks at a time. It's like a little mini filibuster. So Massie voted against it. He was the only Republican voted against. 2 were no vote because they weren't there. They weren't present. So that happens. People have babies. People have medical conditions. I don't care about that. If you can't show up, fine, no vote. The problem is Massie did what he always did. He complains.
Right.
says, I refuse to do this. It's going to blah, blah, blah. Israel's going to get money, hate the Jews. And then it has nothing to do with that. It wasn't going to impact the budget. It wasn't going to have any extra spending. So he does this, which could have torpedoed. It was a 4-vote cushion. It could have torpedoed the SAVE Act. And we don't have a lot of time. We got to try to get this in before November. So, and then if you don't, you're going to have SCOTUS jump on it and call it unconstitutional because it's too close to November. So we got to get this thing pushed through. The Senate, obviously, we want Democrats on record to shoot it down so we can destroy the filibuster. We know it's not going to get through 2/3 majority. We know we're not going to get 60 votes, but they want to get Democrats on record voting against it so we can destroy the filibuster, take it out, and push the SAVE Act through. I'm almost done. So what Massie did is he did what he always did. He played obstruction so his liberty score stays attached. That's all he wants. As long as his liberty score looks good, that he votes with constitutional lines, then he buckles. Same thing with Biden with pushing through the infrastructure bill and the Build Back Better bill, and also the bloated budget of the last time that Biden was in. He pushed it through committee, saving it. This guy never votes with Trump. He always sabotages shit. And what he does is he tests the proverbial waters by putting out a vote that's no to see if anyone else is going to join him. And then once everyone turns against him, like me and everyone else, and calls him a traitor, he buckles like a belt. So it's either this: you respect him when he stands up for his scruples, and then you still respect him when he buckles, or you don't respect him because it's not scrupulous. It's really just grandstanding. And then when he finally makes the vote, it just confirms that he's a fucking coward. Leeroy, your thoughts?
Well, actually, my first question is to you: would you consider him to be a rhino, for one? But before you answer that, I would ask, like, how far do we have to go before we actually start distrusting some of our politicians, specifically the ones that we vote them in to represent us? And when they don't, when they fail to represent us accurately, when they kind of go off on these tangents, how much rope do we give them before we finally say, no, we're done?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, when Liz Cheney votes with Donald Trump more than Thomas Massie, I think we have the question answered. Liz Cheney voted with Donald Trump 93% of the time. Thomas Massie, since 2016 to 20 and 2024 till now, has voted with Donald Trump about 56 to 71% of the time, depending upon what it is. That absolutely shows you right there that the man may not be a rhino, but he's anti-Trump. We know this, and I'm gonna expose him when it comes to the Epstein files and him pushing these victims forward and using them as leverage. This guy's gonna get primaried. He hates Trump. He put all on black. He betted on the fact that he would get the Epstein files to bring Trump down, and his credibility would go through the toilet because people were absolutely 100% wanting the elite exposed and the swamp exposed and the sex trafficking rings exposed. But on the other hand, you have to look at this. Yes, Donald Trump may have said that the Democrat hoax pushing Epstein. Yes, and it was a hoax. We know it is because we're seeing that they're getting evidence that he in 2006, 2005 called the police. We now know more than likely he was an FBI informant, like Speaker Mike Johnson let slip that I caught almost a year ago and told you I think he was an informant. We're finding these things out, and they're not using the Epstein. So what they're saying is that the Epstein files that they have aren't the ones they're looking for. They want something that actually implicates Trump. But let's go ahead and talk about what he's done. You mentioned it the other night, the 2,000 kids that they found and the pedophiles that they found in Minnesota and the sex traffickers. It's now up to 3,200 now, Leeroy. They just pulled out. They're leaving Minnesota because they feel they've accomplished their mission. But you also have to look at, 220,000 children out of the 300,000 they've tracked down from administration-wise or found these kids, getting them back to their families. So Donald Trump may not be going after the elite of the elite for things that have been known throughout this swamp and cesspool for 20 years. What he's doing is he's actually making productive change when it comes to the cartels, the people who kidnap, the Cali cartels, the I can't remember the S one. What is it? The whatever cartel. I can't remember, but it doesn't matter.
Sinaloa,
whatever it is.
Something
cartel.
like that. Yeah.
A bunch of Mexicans. So that is Sinaloa. Thank you. Sinaloa cartel. He's making impact on these We know that we're not shooting drug boats anymore because they're not coming over. Donald Trump is making real impactful change. People want pipe dreams. They want people to go out in handcuffs. Well, it's not going to happen. You can't arrest Hillary Clinton. You can't go after Wexner. The reason why is they are multi-billionaires who are tied up into the world's swamp. And I'm sorry, you're just not going to get those people to go to jail, but you can impact the people who are affecting crime in the United States and go after those people. And that's what he's doing. And I got to give it to him.
Something else to be said about I swear I'm going to start doing this more often. When I start listening to politicians who have to answer press questions, there are some very skilled politicians who will deflect, but it's so nuanced that nobody catches it. So in front of the podium, a lot of politicians will just kind of shift blame or deflect. And I will say this, I don't agree with everything that Donald Trump has done. But when he answers questions, you can tell that he's not trying to deflect. He's answering it as honest as he can, or at least it seems, because you can see him searching for the right words. You can see him not trying to shuffle and basically just say, hey, look, this is the case. And I find that weird, but also mildly refreshing.
Well, yeah, listen, and we're not going to, just give reach arounds for Donald Trump all day.
No,
he has his faults. We have his faults.
He does.
But listen, anyone that sits here and says that voter ID is not an 80-20 issue, it is. And this is why Democrats lose. This is beautiful. This is the only way you get the filibuster struck down, is put an 80-20 rule out there. Because here's the thing. What we know is that when abortion was brought up, there were conservatives and liberals who were both equally upset. And this impacted the base. It impacted conservatives. I'm sorry to tell you, though, you guys might say, oh, well, all conservatives are Christians. There's a lot of middle of the road people in the Conservative Party, and they did not like the Roe v. Wade decision. They didn't like it. And they said, listen, this is a bridge too far. And it hurt us in the midterms. It hurt us in the super elections and the special elections. This is the way it happened. And Trump had to pivot his abortion stance, which worked, in order to win him 2024 and take it off the table. If the Democrats do not vote for this in the Senate, they are going to kill themselves. I mean, it's going to destroy them. And it will be as big as Roe v. Wade. Voter ID it may not be a top 3 issue, but it's definitely top 5 or 6.
Something else that you just mentioned was there's a lot of people who claim that the people, the Catholics, the more religious groups are considered conservative. I know that's kind of a common thought, but I would disagree with that. And I would say that actually most people are in fact moderates. And what is she saying? For what it's worth, Leeroy's lighting looks good. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt, for helping me get my lighting to look
I finally had to say, at one point I said, shut up, Chief. just shut up and do what I tell you. The
person who could have done better might have been Barry,
Yeah. No, Barry's good, but you look good, dude. I can't wait to get the audio set up. We'll get that next. You're absolutely right.
We'll get it figured out.
You're right, though. You're absolutely right. Everything you're saying.
And I think that the more people realize that as they support more moderate, middle-of-the-road type policy, that is exactly why Donald Trump shifted his stance on abortion. And when you look across the aisle, look at who has not done that yet. Look who has not come back to the middle. Every stance that the far left has taken is pretty extreme. And if they were really looking to become more moderate, they would dial back a little bit on their tax policies. They might agree a little bit more that immigration control is a good thing, or that, hey, 2A does mean something to the majority of Americans, as does the First Amendment.
Right.
And it seems like rather than kind of maintain that middle bubble, what they have done is gone increasingly left to say, oh, no, we need more restrictions. We need more less free speech, and we need to make sure that the borders are open. I have no idea what the thought process is there. How is that going to win them an election? I don't know.
Well, we know what the thought process is there, is that ultimately at some point these people are going to be counted in the census. This is why they went after the census. Facebook has blocked me from commenting again, Thomas Austin. I don't know why that's not me. Thomas, I'll take a look at it, but I have no idea. At Matt and Leeroy, how long did you guys serve together? We did it. Well, we did. We just didn't serve in the same. We were in the Navy at the same time, but we didn't serve in the same fleets or anything else. He was in the opposite side of the world when I was where I was at. So we would have served together in the sense at the same time. No, you were in at 19 what?
So I got out in 96 originally, but I think you were in during that time frame, right?
I was. Yeah, I went in 94. So we were in for 2 years together.
So 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah.
So right when he was getting out, I was going in. No. You got out in 96?
I got out in 96 originally. Then I came back in 2008.
Okay, that's why. Okay, so that makes sense because I was like, wait a
break
second.
in service, yeah.
No, I'm so confused because that explains the gap in NSWAG because you would have went NSWAG then. So you would have done exactly what we would have met at NSWAG. I'm telling you, if the program, like we honeymooned it. So if Leeroy would have been in during when I was in, he probably would have went in at that time. He went in later when the program kind of was officially stabilized and they started giving badges and pins for it. But
Sorry, buddy.
Some of us didn't get that. But anyway, we probably would have met there. And if we would have stayed in for a couple more years, we probably would have crossed paths. The Intel community is very small.
Almost certainly.
It's about 1,000 people. It's very, very tiny. And there's, a little bit longer, and we probably would have crossed paths at some point. But we didn't
Almost
do that.
Certainly.
But we're here together, and that's all that matters.
We have each other now. Happy Valentine's Day, Matt.
Yes, happy Valentine's Day to you too. I just wish Gay Navy Day was still here.
Oh, it can still be a thing.
It's bunkmates forever. So anyway, let's get to it. We got a bunch to do. I love the opening conversation. Tommy, do me a favor. Olivia's not here yet. She won't be back for about 20 minutes. We'll get you taken care of on Facebook and figure it out. Folks, please, you got donations. We got to throw them through anyway because they're not going to pop up, but please, got to get them in because Olivia and Ethan won't be here until a little bit later, and I can't see them right now. So help us out. Let's get to this. We've got a busy night. Ellison gets torched by Holly. This is a really interesting exchange, and I'm showing you the full 5 minutes. And we've got a couple of these tonight. Did I tell you how good you look, dude? In the with the new camera, you just got to get your audio.
You mentioned
fixed.
it.
Did I keep saying that you got to get your audio fixed? Okay, here's the video.
With the $9 billion in historic fraud out of your state, including the $250 million in the Feeding Our Future program alone. You familiar with that? Don't turn to the pages in your book to get your potted answers. Are you familiar with it? Yes or no?
Yes, I am familiar with it.
Very familiar, aren't you? Because the people who ran the Feeding Our Futures program came to you in your official office in the state capitol December 11th, 2021, and asked for your help in getting investigators off their backs. They complained to you for upwards of an hour about state investigators going after them, and they begged you to help them, and you agreed to it, amazingly. And we know you did.
That's not
because
true.
It's all caught on tape.
Yeah,
every single sentence is caught on tape. Here's what you said. Let's take a look.
Obviously,
You said,
Oh.
question. You said to them, send me the names of all these folks who are investigating them. You said to them, send me their names. And I'll take that list and I'll call the person over at education who is investigating them and say, what's going on? Why am I getting these complaints? Then you went on to say, I already have my team working on this. What day should we get together to discuss it again? You made pledge after pledge to them. You said, we've got to make sure this guy who's investigating them stops it. You said, you have my attention. I'm concerned about this. You said, let's go fight these people, meaning the people who are investigating the fraud.
I'm trying to turn up the volume. It's being an asshole. This is a very low video. Let me see what I can do. Hold on. One sec.
Why'd you do it? Why'd you help them?
No, this is just a real quiet one, y'all. I don't think I can turn it up anymore. No. That's as loud as it's going to get, guys. I'm sorry.
The discussion of fraud is always quiet in D.C.
So
We just have to accept
You're
it.
cherry picking quotes out of there.
Why did you help
I
them?
thought you were going to let me answer.
Why did you
Are you
help
going to let
them?
me answer?
Why did you help
You
them?
let me answer and I'll answer you.
Tell the truth and I'll let you answer.
I will tell the truth.
Good.
Let's do
That'd
that.
be a nice change. Why'd you help them?
Here we go.
Now see,
Leeroy has a dumb show mic, guys. He's been using it for years. We have to do the phone so he doesn't get kicked off, and he's using his headset. It sucks. We're getting it worked out. Hang tight with the audio. We'll get it fixed.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't come here to be insulted. I came here voluntarily.
You came here for the truth. Let's have it. Why did you help them? The quotes are here. They're in black and white, and every member of this audience can listen to the recording. It's 54 minutes long. It's all in public. You can Google it right now and listen to it.
And listen to it all.
Why'd you help them?
First of all, I didn't help them.
You did help them.
No, I did not. I certainly didn't.
You're saying you didn't do anything for him. You didn't.
Well, wait a minute.
I already have my team working on this again. That's not you?
I have my team assisted with the information that led to the prosecution and conviction of these people.
No, you didn't. You didn't lift a finger to prosecute them. No, you did not.
No,
you didn't
because
lift a finger to prosecute them.
federal prosecution.
You had, BS. You had whistleblowers come to you as early as 2019.
You're the one talking BS.
Hey, listen, it's my time.
Doesn't know what you're talking about, sir.
No, sir. You now have encountered the truth and you don't like it. Why'd you take their money? Why'd you take their money?
I didn't.
You took $10,000.
No, that's a false statement.
$10,000 9 days after the meeting.
False statement.
You took $10,000. Here's what happened. They went to your office.
They
solicited money from you. They solicited help from you.
That's also wrong.
They came to your office. It was your official office. You met with them for 54 minutes.
No, they didn't.
asked you for help. You pledged it to them, and they talked repeatedly about money. In fact, it's all they talked about.
That's a lie.
Money, 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 money. They said, we will put our dollars in the right place. We will support candidates that will fight to protect our interests. You replied, that's right. They said, if you are secure in your donor base and secure in your power base, you can act the way you want. You replied, money is freedom. They said the amount of money circulating, I'm reading the transcript, the amount of money circulating in our community today is powerful, and we haven't realizing it in a meaningful way. And you said, give me the specifics. And 9 days later, you took $10,000 from people who were then indicted. It's in your reports. Why'd you do it?
Sir,
was it worth it?
You know what? This is a theatrical performance.
This is the truth. This is what accountability looks like, of which you've had none. You helped fraudsters defraud your state and this government of $9 billion, and you got a fat campaign contribution out of it. You ought to be indicted.
True. Well,
that's the truth.
I think we've made the point. Let's keep the tenor just
for the record.
Whoa,
he's lying, and that's
the $9 billion in historic fraud.
Wow. Leeroy, you got to scoot back. I told you not to creep up. You look. There you go. Sorry, it's okay. Dude, want to get your thought? Listen, I'm not a big fan of the yelling back and forth, but sometimes you got to treat it. You got to treat a witness hostile. And to me, the guy's full. He's reading from a transcript, and you're just bold-faced lying. Go ahead.
Well, it does make you wonder between all of the fraud that has happened in Minnesota, that every time that we've ever heard a John Stossel special where they talk about, another tree frog study went out the door for $1.2 million funded by the DOD. It makes you wonder about how much of our dollars, our tax dollars, per person, per taxpayer, have gone to legitimate purposes versus fraud, versus lining the pockets of somebody that you don't know, somebody that you never sanctioned your money to be used in that way. The fraud in DC, and this is why I have such a major problem with politicians in general, is they just seem to be in it for, once they get in, they will say whatever they need to get elected, right? And then in order to stay in office, they will tell the American taxpayer or the American voter or both, whatever they want to in order to hold their place. And I find that so disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking billions with a B, right? You're not talking about something small change. And
right.
You've got Ellison, who overall his responsibility is to prosecute this crime, and is pawning it off on the federal government versus taking responsibility. Right. Frey is involved in this. We know this. Fry. We know that there's indictments coming down and implications that Ilhan Omar may be involved, that Walls is involved, that Ellison's involved. And you've got the transcripts right there, dude. You met with these people. You met with them for an hour, and then you took a very large sum of money right after.
Right.
You know, it may not be, well, those are the settings that I had Leeroy's audio on to begin with. And then I took them off. So sorry, guys. This seems to be a controversy. People just, whatever. So it just comes down to this. We know that there's smoke there. Now it's their responsibility to prove that there's fire. Same thing with Biden. Like, dude, like Burisma, Hillary Clinton, all of it's smoke and mirrors. Unless you prosecute these fucking people, I don't care. Like, you're like, oh, people stole $9 billion. Who gives a shit? The Defense Department lost $9 trillion over the last 21 years. $9 trillion.
They have gone 8 of the 9 last audits and failed. So for almost 10 years in a row, they have failed consecutively every audit from the DOD. And that's your money. That's my money. That's Matt's money. And this is no different, right? This is just yet another scandal where they can't definitively tell us where our tax money has gone. And if you really start to peel back, I've done this. Matt and I have talked about this before. There's roughly 360 million Americans, right? But only about 55% of them actually pay federal taxes, right? So that knocks it down to about 130, 140 million Americans who pay into the federal tax system. You take 140 million Americans and figure out amongst the billions that have been, acknowledged by the government to have been wasted in fraud, waste, and abuse. And you start to think about, wait, how much of my money has gone out the door to someplace nobody can point to? And in the meantime, if I miss my tax payment, if I were to somehow end up short from the IRS's standpoint, they're going to come after me with both barrels.
Right.
Why is that any different?
Right. It's
ridiculous.
It's a pretty decent point, dude. That's all I'm going to say. Go ahead and say hi real quick, Leeroy. Say, hey, Matt, what's up?
Hey, how's it going? Is my audio too high, too low, medium? What do I sound like?
Try it one more time.
Yeah. This is welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and donate. The show works off of donations, and you guys are amazing for keeping us alive here.
So that's about as good as it's going to get. It's we'll get the audio fixed. Everybody, trust me. It's going to be fixed, and it doesn't matter. Leeroy looks beautiful, and that's more important to me. Visual is important, but audio also. You do look good. Here, yes, it sounds like he's in a box. We understand. But maybe if we stop talking about it, maybe that would probably just let me do the show and not get my ADD out of control, where at this point I'm like literally tweaking every single nuance about the show. All right, so good enough. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and look at Jennings on CNN when it comes to the SAVE Act. We're going to go into the Massie thing, but I want people to understand the SAVE Act. Liberals are just absolutely melting down over this. This is Jim Crow. This is a poll tax. They should love it, considering that they wrote the Jim Crow laws. Well, the new people are going to have to deal with it. The new people are going to have to deal with it, Melanie, so I can do the show, okay? Come on, you know who I am, thanks. Oh, ADHD, stop it. Thank you. Moving on. Here's Jennings, CNN. Enjoy this.
What voting rights is he taking away from black voters?
Oh, if we look at
the SAVE Act?
The SAVE Act, that's exactly what we're talking about. That is actually going to continue to disenfranchise overwhelmingly a lot of people of color. There are so many civil rights organizations that have run the data. If we look at the way that it is going to disenfranchise black voters, it's the same reason why Chuck Schumer called it Jim Crow 2.0.
So,
this is the same president. If we want to continue...
You haven't said how yet.
I am talking about it. It's the way that you're putting new poll taxes on this when you're making people have... That's what we can call them now. It's kind of an idiom, right? If you want to say that people have to prove that they are citizens, that they have to prove with a voter ID, the reality is you're layering what is a constitutional right for the American people and making it harder for people to vote in this country, and it's going to disenfranchise.
I always love it when people shake their heads no emphatically when they're trying to convince themselves and you that something is a yes. I love it. I love it so much.
Right. The fact of the matter is, if you it is written into our Constitution that you have to be an American citizen in order to vote in federal elections. Right. So it makes complete and perfect sense that from the federal perspective, all right, now I need to qualify that everyone who's getting ready to cast a vote, that they are in fact citizens. And that's not wrong. That's not illegal. That is the federal government doing their due diligence to make sure that if you're going to cast a vote, that you're qualified to do so.
Yeah. Here is the rest of this. Just watch the comments because you're on their audio feed. So that's another thing we've got to fix.
Got it.
Concern you that you're making all these claims, you've yet to lay out how it's hurting anyone, but 76% of black voters think we should show an ID to vote, 80% of Hispanic voters, 83% of the American people. Are you saying that black voters
the
are
SAVE
too
Act
dumb to know what's good for them? I mean, it sounds pretty condescending. Me. You got three-quarters of black voters who want voter ID.
Let's be clear, the SAVE Act is not just about ideas. The SAVE Act is about proof of citizenship. So it doesn't. I actually.
All right, Leeroy, say something.
Check 1 2. How do I sound?
It actually, there's an argument to be made that red state voters, women, poor white voters could be just as.
You think they're dumb too, don't you? I mean, that's the thing. I've heard these arguments. I've heard Democrats all week long.
Please don't. No.
There's the discussion from talking about racism right there.
You should be thinking about your constituents or your.
I think you're smart enough to figure out how to vote.
Hold on. Most Americans don't have a passport. Many Americans don't have access to their birth certificate. Many women, a majority of women who change their names.
Jeez, women are stupid. Minorities are stupid.
Right.
But you guys, listen, women who've been married have been doing this their entire lives. This isn't anything new. Folks, you know who the same people that wanted to push real ID for flying were the liberals? Had no problem with that. The people who want you to get a background check for guns and ammo and literally a shotgun, they are the same people. The people who want to shut down your car and be able to repossess it, these are the people.
Show this card to show that you were vaccinated before you go into that restaurant. But to ask for an ID for voting? No, come on. What are you thinking?
It's ridiculous. It is what it is. All right, let's get going. We got to watch the rest of this.
To provide additional proof that they've changed their legal names in order.
All right, we still have echo. Let me know.
To register to vote.
I have heard Democrats make these same arguments.
Why don't you actually respond to the substance of what I'm saying?
I am, and
as
the substance
opposed
is
to
this.
making this about something that it's not.
You're saying
it's not just about voter ID.
Married
it's
women,
also about
black
who has
voters,
access
and rural people are too stupid to figure out how to register to vote.
No, that's not.
That's exactly what he just said. Look at him. They're like, what? I said what? But if if this was about that women had to get an ID in order to have an abortion and show a valid ID at an abortion clinic that is funded by the federal government, these people would be saying that this is religious persecution, that it's the privacy being infringed, and that you're putting obstacles in front of people. Give me a break. You guys don't get to go ahead and just take both sides of an issue and just change it because you don't like it. There's no echo?
Right.
Yes. Hold on a second. Is there an echo or not an echo? Because I thought I fixed it. Okay, good. Go ahead, Leeroy.
The Democrats have pushed, and rightfully so, for a long time that, hey, you do need an ID to exercise certain constitutional rights. Specifically, what I'm pointing at here is the ability to buy a gun, right? If you want to exercise your Second Amendment right, hey, before you make that purchase, please show us your ID, okay? This is no different. You're exercising your right to vote. This is incumbent upon the government to do the exact same thing, to go through that authentication that proves that you have the ability to vote prior to having input into our system. How is that any different?
All right, here's the rest of it.
That is so offensive. That is so offensive. Let me offer the proof. Let me offer the proof.
Are you saying they can't figure out how to vote?
This is the exact same argument.
It is a fact that a majority of Americans do not have passports. Many Americans,
You don't
including
need one.
white people, okay, do not have their original birth certificate or access to it.
You didn't say what you said. Rural.
I
white
would
people.
love to offer the proof on this.
Yeah, because that is also relevant. It doesn't matter to me where people
I guess
live.
I have a little more faith in
Do they have
rural
access?
America and married women than you do.
Look, I don't
And
know
you're saying
why.
they can't
I
figure
don't know
it
why
out.
you think
What
why
is
you're
going
making
on
this
here?
about whether you're smart or not.
You're
Access
saying that they can't
to
vote.
Leeroy, with this new system, you can't talk during the playback of the video. Okay. So, yeah, it's not silent. Just don't talk anymore, please. Thanks. It literally creates echo, and your systems. We can't do this ever again. So please help me out, okay, audio wise. Thanks.
certificate?
Yes.
Okay.
But at one point, black
does
people are not
everybody
even
that you know
allowed
have their
certificates
original
in
birth
this country.
certificate?
Everybody that I know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
But I know where mine is, and I know where my kids
elderly,
are.
There are elderly people in this country who are 80 years old, and they haven't seen their original birth certificate in decades. They would need to provide
this is
proof of
fear-mongering.
citizenship.
This
It's not fear-mongering at all. It's not
That's
fear-mongering at all.
That's just a reality.
It's not fear-mongering
And
at all.
listen,
Jim Crow
here's how,
2.0.
Scott,
They say that about the Georgia law, and what happened? Voter participation
Scott,
went
The
up.
fact that you won't
Here's
answer
how
why you still
policy-
support
hold
a
on. Here's
racist
how
president
policy is
is
supposed to
actually
work in this country.
the problem.
And by the way, you have a proposal, you look at the
All right, so we'll pause it. So that's what happens when you talk. It mutes this video. So we just got to get you out of that and get you your separate mic. So the thing about this is he's absolutely right. We talked about this last night. Is that in Georgia, the restrictions that they ultimately with redistricting and the restrictions that they put on ballot boxes, and actually voter participation increased. The issue is they do not want their party to vote in person, because they can't control the vote. They want mail-in ballots. They want to be able to go ahead and send them out as much as they want. They want free access. They want to put it online. They want to do whatever they can to limit the restrictions so they can get more votes that are not ballots, or ballots that are not votes. You guys understand that a ballot, even when you fill it out and send it in, it's not a vote until all the boxes are checked, dependent upon the state's constitution and its election law. So therefore, if a signature is not where it's supposed to be, or it's not identified by a driver's license, or it's not the right date, or it's not the right address, or whatever, that is not cast. Now, it can be re-verified during a close vote, and you will be contacted, and you can also come in and sign an affidavit to that, and once it's investigated, they can make it a live vote. But a ballot is not a vote until it is verified. And Democrats want to ensure that the verification process is as least amount of stringency as possible. And this is the problem with liberals. Leeroy, it's almost over, and then you got word.
impacts of it, and you decide whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing to do. I think it is perfectly fair, whether you think that it disproportionately affects people of color or not, to ask the question, will a majority of Americans who want to be able to vote be able to access the documents that they would need in order to prove citizenship?
But Abby, you're asking
That's
the
your
underlying
view, but I'm
question,
saying
which is
people have
impact.
raised questions about
that. The reason that it works this way is impact. You mentioned Jim Crow 2.0.
No, I didn't.
What you just said, the words Jim Crow 2.0, so I'm going to put it right here at the moment. And
He
that
didn't
is
say it.
exactly the way that Jim Crow 1.0 was born. They took laws.
Democrats were wily.
Yeah, I won't finish. They took
Democrats were wily. They sure were. It's amazing how they want to run from it, that they didn't write Jim Crow.
laws that were operational in the North, and they said these work on by the in the letter, but we're going to disrupt the spirit. They're going to take these laws and use them on black people in the South to disenfranchise them, and that was the effect.
Everyone, thank you very much. We will be back in just a moment.
But that's not what happened. We know that's not what happened. That's revisionist history.
No, he's
we
lying.
understand that the South was racist. We understand that the North was also racist. We understand that racism and slavery immediately, you do this because black people and the color of their skin. No, they did this because they did not find that human beings were all created equal. That's why those words were purposely put in the first 26 when it comes to the Declaration and the Constitution of the United States, focusing on the people. The 3/5 compromise is one of the biggest lies in history, that it was designed to suppress the black opinions and votes. No, it was giving unfettered access and power to the South that was interjecting over 4 million slaves into the populace, which would have outnumbered the North, and they wouldn't have won the Civil War by a musket. They would have won it by a quill and iron gall ink. It would have allowed the white Southerners to control the votes of the black slaves, and a Northerner would never win another election again. Yes, was it tied to making their vote 3/5 of a person? Most assuredly. Does that sound really fucking bad? Yes. But let's compare it to what it was. We own you. I can rape you. I can tie you to a wagon wheel and flog you. I can kill you. I can sell you. Or we can give you your freedom and we can count you as a 3/5 of a vote. I think most African Americans took the latter. Best choice? Probably not, but better than what was happening. I think they'll take the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment over slavery. Because if you go ahead and say, well, what was the alternative? Put them back in chains? Well, I think most people would say the alternative was a better choice, even though it wasn't the best choice. Leeroy, take it home.
So earlier today, Trump had given a speech where he said that it really should have been called the Save America Act. And what he was saying was that what this does is close many of the loopholes that the Democrats would use to manipulate the voting system, to do exactly what Matt is describing, and to potentially stuff the ballot boxes or votes the way they want things done, rather than the legal way things should be done. And that seems to be the biggest separator between the two parties these days. Not that the Republican Party has always done things legally or in the most stand-up of way, but I think this is a pretty clear definition where we can see that, hey, this is obviously more closely aligned to what the American public supports. And that was already supported earlier in the interview when they were talking about the number of Americans who support things like voter ID, like checking the IDs. I just wish more people would write into their congressmen or senators with the appropriate amount of messaging and rage to say, look, this is obviously something that is a good thing. If you're going to vote here in the United States, you should have to be able to provide evidence that you are in fact a citizen, because that's the only requirement.
Another video. Let me see. I don't remember which one this is. Hold on.
I've got a series of questions for you that we can get.
This is listen, we've hit this ad nauseum. We have gone through the Great Party Switch, Jim Crow laws, Japanese internment camps. We've gone through the modern day slave plantation, the Tuskegee experiments, Manifest Destiny, the Great Society. We've done this, okay? We know Democrats are full of shit. We know that they lie about history. We know this is born out of the Daughters of Confederacy, creating the Klan. We know this is what they've done. This is what they've always done. They're ashamed of who they are. They should be. Their white guilt is something they should, because here's the truth. The Northerners got rid of their white guilt around 20 years after the Civil War. We were able to say, you know what? We're good. We've freed all slaves in the North. We've had a war over it. We did what was necessary, and we tried to move on. Now, did racism persist? Of course it did. But racism and slavery are not the same thing. Understand the natural progression of racism is dominance of another race over another, a superiority. It doesn't mean slavery. It's not like socialism that ultimately it leads to communism no matter what. Racism doesn't lead to slavery. Okay? It can, but it can lead to a lot of other things. Oppression, victimization, crimes focused on hate, superior racial dominance, lynchings, murders, of course, all those things. But slavery isn't necessarily the motivating factor. Free labor is the motivating factor, and money most assuredly.
Yeah.
Okay?
It was an economic decision more than anything else.
Correct. But you want to associate with slavery. And the truth is that, yes, there were white Southerners who were absolutely racist. Of course there were. And there were Northerners who were absolutely racist. But the majority were not. A lot of that came after the Klan and the Daughters of the Confederacy that started pushing this white nationalist rhetoric of people who were religious zealots, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant movement of the KKK. The Knights of the Ku Klux Klan were focused on racial white dominance because they realized that they were now outnumbered with slaves that were freed and that they were losing their identity. It's very similar to, you see people right now freaking out over the Great Replacement theory. The difference is that the Great Replacement theory is true and the dominance of blacks over whites in the South was a fictitious dream. Here's the rest. Listen to this. This is Pam Bondi. And this is folks, I know the donations say 0. Olivia's not home yet, and I got too much going on. I'm trying to fix too many things. I need some help. If you would not mind, please, if you have not donated, do so. Help the show out. And then when Olivia gets back, she'll be really busy putting in donations for the entire time. So if you could help us out, we would appreciate it. Thank you. Here is Pam Bondi just literally cooking with Representative Gill from Texas. I think this is the one. Let me make sure.
I've got a series of questions for
it. Is enjoy this
that we can get through pretty quickly. I think. Can you tell me, is it true that the Biden-Harris DOJ raided President Trump's home?
They did.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ allow Jack Smith to spy on over a dozen Republican members of Congress?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ seize the phone of a sitting Republican congressman?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and Jack Smith pay at least $20,000 to confidential human sources to provide information on President Trump?
At least.
At least. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI fail to apprehend the suspect who placed pipe bombs near the Capitol ahead of January 6th?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target parents as domestic terrorists?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target pro-life Catholics, going so far as to interview a priest and a choir director?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ send FBI SWAT teams to arrest pro-life advocates with no criminal histories?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ use the FACE Act to target pro-life advocates while it allowed anti-life agitators to vandalize, destroy, and firebomb pregnancy resource centers and churches?
Multiple times, I believe.
Multiple times. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ ever determine who leaked the Dobbs decision?
I can't discuss that. No, under Biden-Harris.
Got it.
No.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI target whistleblowers for revealing waste, fraud, and abuse within the department to Congress?
Not to my knowledge.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ refuse to say whether it coordinated with Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, and Letitia James in their lawfare against President Trump?
They refused.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ slow-walk the criminal investigation and prosecution of Hunter Biden?
That's an understatement, in my opinion.
Yep. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ determine who brought cocaine into the Biden White House?
They did not.
They did not. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ cover up the extent?
As far as we know, they did not.
Right, that's right. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ cover up the extent of the Russia collusion hoax?
Absolutely, in my opinion, yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ seek leniency from a federal court for an IRS contractor who leaked sensitive tax information on over 7,600 Americans, including President Trump?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ sue Texas because the state wanted to secure its own southern border?
Yes.
And finally, did the Biden-Harris DOJ attack SpaceX for hiring too many Americans?
I believe they did.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, and I appreciate that a lot of this is being cleaned up under your leadership. So thank you for returning the DOJ back to its core focus, which is on the rule of law. I've got a series of...
Wow. You know, Democrats say, yeah, but the Epstein files, can we get those?
You know, that sounds a lot like the whataboutisms that were floating all over Facebook for the last 4 years whenever anybody brought up anything that conflicted with their Democrat narrative. We always heard, oh, well, what about this? Well, what about this? This is another example of that.
Yeah, it really is. And the thing is that they'll never, let's just be transparent here. Democrats will never own any of that because they agree with all of it. They'll deny that it happened, but they are completely acknowledging and know that it did happen, and they're just okay with it because it's Trump.
Right.
There's the difference.
It's the use of enforcing the law so long as it suits their purpose. And when it doesn't, then the law just, I don't know what happens if the blind scales of justice, all of a sudden the blindfold comes off. And so long as you are operating under the sanctions of Democrat rules, well, then, you can break that law. That one's okay.
But see, here's the thing is everyone's like, oh, well, Biden. Wait a second. This didn't start under Biden.
No.
This started under Obama. And it started all the way back to 1984 when we tried to put a Mexican federal judge in place, and Joe Biden and his racist ass went after Clarence Thomas and that federal judge because he was Mexican. This started a long time ago. The politicization and the overall using the media and using the IRS and using the government to strong arm your political opponents, it's been going on forever. And just because they're not using it to do affairs or go ahead and question someone's credibility, look at Bob Dole. Remember the pen in the hand? They went after him and almost called him a quadriplegic and that he was incapable, that he was just a crazy old man. Mitt Romney, they went after magic underpants and binders full of women. Look what they did to John McCain. They go after everybody. They went after George Bush's intelligence and said he was a racist and a coke dealer when they put in Clinton, who literally fucked more women than Gene Simmons. So we can sit here and pretend like this started with Biden. Folks, this has been going on for decades, and the Democratic Party has been doing this, honestly, for centuries. It's lying. It's changing the narrative. It's controlling the narrative. They've always been deceptive. It was Hamilton and Burr, for God's sakes. It was the Federalists and Anti-Federalists. They have always done this. You're just acting surprised because you're seeing it so much more because we have movie studios in our pocket and we broadcast shit 24 hours, 7 days a week, and we no longer consume at our own pace through a newspaper. It's shoved with an intravenous needle right up our artery into our arm every single minute, every single day. It's in our face. Go ahead, Leeroy.
Whenever policy is not on their side, they have to resort to personal attacks because there is no policy. So the only thing that they will try to do is defame the person, drag them down, make it sound like whatever the narrative, it doesn't matter, right? So long as you could put a label on that person. But if they have policy on their side, which the Democrats rarely do these days, then nobody would make any argument. You would just say, oh, well, that makes sense. It's a policy decision. That makes sense.
Right.
But because policy is something that has, the further you go left, right, less and less policy gets involved, and you have to make those personal attacks because the further you go left, the more emotional you have to make things.
And that's where I make my money. The moment you go to personal attacks, I love that shit, man. That's where I've been doing this new thing called Owning the Lefties. And these are really small and short little memes. Like this guy says, "Did you ride the short bus when you were a kid?" And I said, "I rode your sister. Does that count?" Pretty simple. It's not hard. It's little quips. Here's this is another one. Let's see. Owning the Lefties. Here we go. Here's another one. This guy says, "If I show you a typed up document stating that I can legally sell you the Leaning Tower of Pisa for $100, will you buy it, moron?" And I said, "Oh, I thought you wanted the Epstein files released, fuckstain." "Oh, not those files, doofus." And then I said, "Secondly, no, I already have something long, hard as a rock, and leaning to the left. Ask your mom." If you want to play the game, I'm more than happy to get into the weeds and start slinging mud. I would rather not.
I think that's the point.
Yeah, I'd rather just have some dialogue and have a conversation. But if you want to literally just do that shit all day long, you're talking to a military guy. You're talking to a guy who spent a lot of time in retail along with blue collar workers. And you're talking about a guy who's been doing this shit for 5 years. My kung fu is phenomenal, and you're not going to win. If you want to get down to dick and fart jokes, I'm gonna win the conversation. But the sad thing is that it always goes down to that common denominator because you can't win the conversation. You can't win in a normal conversation with facts because you're not willing to change. You're not willing to exchange ideas. You don't want to talk. You want to tell me.
They don't want the conversation.
No, you just want to tell me what you think, and you don't want to hear my retort. Like, you know, Donald Trump is a pedophile. Oh, okay, well, that's a declarative statement. What evidence do you have? It's all over the place. Right. He's in the Epstein files 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. So what you're saying is that anybody who's in the Epstein files is guilty. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So ultimately, right now, at this point, we've got about 170,000 names in these documents. Every single one of those people should go to prison. Well, no. Okay, why? Well, because
they're Donald Trump.
No, that's not what they say. They go, they're innocent. Those people are innocent until we prove him guilty. Okay, great. So you and I agree that Donald Trump is innocent until proven guilty. Fuck no. He's got 34 felonies and he fucks kids. And I'm like, you're a twat waffle, right? You are literally a doofus. You're a wanker. I can't talk to you because you don't want to admit that there's a possibility that he's innocent. I am completely open to say there's a possibility he's guilty. Why aren't you open to say Why aren't you open to say there's a possibility that he's innocent?
We have a friend that I sometimes comment on her page, and over the years, she is, I don't know, gone increasingly left. And every time I try to make a rational statement, that's normally the reaction is, you're a moron, you're an idiot, blah, 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 blah. They can never talk policy, so they have to attack personally. And that's something Matt and I were just discussing. And I find that funny because politicians, generally speaking, we hire them. We put them in place to write decent policy that would help all Americans, right? But the moment it's something that you disagree with, the moment it's something that doesn't fall in line with the leftist narrative or agenda, then the first thing you have to do is attack you personally, right? And then also, the further left you go, it seems like there's more hypocrisy that lives on the political spectrum. And I'm not saying that hypocrisy does not exist on the right. It certainly does. What I'm saying is that there's just seems to be more of it on the left.
Dude, this show spends a lot of time calling out the left's hypocrisy and the right's hypocrisy. Because the truth of the matter is you can't be right all the time. And because you can't be right all the time, that means there are times you can be wrong. And if you're one of those people that think that Donald Trump and the Republican Party can never be wrong, you are a part of the problem.
Right.
You have there's two types of TDS. There's Trump derangement syndrome and there's Trump syndrome. Okay? And they're two very different things. But if you are on either side and not somewhere in the middle, but here's the thing. 2016 to 2020, there was a lot of things I called Donald Trump out that I didn't like. There was a lot I loved. I'm really not having any problems with 2024. I embraced tariffs. And I'm not a tariff guy, and neither is Leeroy. We're both not tariff guys. Have you guys even seen the GNP of 5.6? Are you fucking kidding me? Do you understand what that means for us? Do you understand that our trade deficit is $30 billion now a month? It was $130 billion. Folks, that's over 1.6 trillion a year. You're talking about saving almost $1 trillion a year. If he gets net positive, even at $50 billion a month, even that, you're talking about $500 billion. Folks, deficit spending is what's killing our country.
You know, one of the first questions that I always like to ask a leftist is, so you don't trust Trump? You don't trust the government? Is that correct? 9 times out of 10, they will say yes. But how can they be the party for big government while distrusting the government? And there's the fundamental flaw in their philosophy right out of the gate is if you don't trust the government, right, immediately that makes you somebody who wants to limit the power of the government. Well, that's more so, not completely, but it's more so the right-leaning type of person, right? Yep. That's more so the Republican, certainly the Libertarian. But to be a Democrat, and we've asked this before, I don't think a case has ever been rationally made that a far leftist can ever be someone who has what would you call it? Can they ever be their own person, or do they have to submit to the group? Can they ever be what's the word I'm looking for when a country is? Hold on, let me see if I can figure that.
Well, why don't you just tell me what the definition is, and I'll give you the word. I complete your sentences all the time.
When you own something, when you own yourself.
Self-awareness, self-ownership, self-accountability.
Sovereign. Can a Democrat ever be? Yeah. Can a far left Democrat, can they ever be someone who is completely sovereign, or do they submit to the state? Are they ever truly themselves?
We know the answer to this question, and that's the problem, is we get labeled as domestic terrorists for opposing the government. You guys oppose the government, and you call yourself anti-fascists. It doesn't make any sense. So it's like the J6ers. Listen, you can take the J6ers and you can take Antifa and put them side by side, and there's very little difference between them to me. Fascism is not the way to do it. Anarchy is not the way to do it. I'm not down. I'm not down for either group. But if you take YAF or you take TPUSA, and then you take any of the militant groups of the Democratic Party, I will tell you that there are far more aggressive, aggravated, violent people on the left than there are the right. Because you can't listen. Listen. We've seen the United Front. We've seen these guys wearing masks. These are retards. We've seen some of these Klan members that now are 1,000, but you don't say anything about the 700,000 that were in Chicago for the Democratic Party. We can go ahead.
The convention, right?
Yeah, the Democratic Party convention. Yeah, it's in Chicago, 1960 something. 367, something like that. The point is that you can't sit here and give me comparative analysis and say tit for tat, Republicans and Democrats. You can't do it. You can do it on riots. Okay, one versus question mark for the Democrats. We had J6. Call it a riot. I thought it was an insurrection. Call it a riot. Now give me another one. Oh, we can't do it. Okay. Please, political-based shootings. How many conservative Donald Trump supporters have you seen do mass shootings? There have been a couple, but if you take a look at the trans shootings, ask how many.
Oh my gosh!
Have there been per capita? We're going to go into that in a few minutes. So you can talk about damages, insurance claims. The Democrats have been taught that riots get you policy. Conservatives have been taught that voting gets you policy. This is why conservatives don't riot. This is why we don't protest. We don't protest. We weren't out there for Lake and Riley. We voted with our vote. The Volksgrad, folks, this is what we do. We go out and vote, and that's how we change government policy. You guys go out and burn shit down. There's a difference.
Right.
We can't go anymore. We got to stop. We got to play another video. It's too good. It's too good. Lisa McClain crushes on the SAVE Act. Enjoy this.
Congressman, you tweeted yesterday.
Damn it.
That
I hate when this happens. Hi, you need donations in, please. Let me switch this.
Anybody want to guess who that
Here it
is? Americans, right? The radical left wants you to believe voter ID is extreme, right? Give me a break, right? Voter ID is extreme. You need an ID to open a bank account. Gee, that's pretty extreme. You need an ID to board a plane. My goodness gracious, that's extreme. You need an ID to buy a beer, even in Wisconsin, right? My goodness, that is so extreme, Brian. I can't believe it. You even need ID to pick up certain cold medicines. So let's get this straight. Buying a 6-pack of beer or cold medicine requires more security than choosing the leader of the free world? You need to ask your Democrat colleagues, like, what's your rationale? Ask them to connect the dots for you on that one.
Right.
It's just not, it's backwards, it's absurd, and it's hilarious. And why? Because the Democrats know it's hilarious because they want voter fraud. They want fraud. They advocate for fraud. Look at what they're doing in Minnesota. Just have Mr. Emmer talk about that. They love fraud. God forbid if we take a look at fraud. And you know what's even more jaw-dropping? Having Democrats like Senator Ossoff, who opposes this bill. I mean, he's out there fighting. This is just terrible, right, Senator? Requiring voter ID to vote. Well, hear me on this. Just hear me out. But to get into his town hall, you had to have a voter ID.
Well, you had to have an ID. The chick has a chance to be the next Nancy Pelosi if she can just be a little bit more effective on her delivery. She's got that ability to really annoy the shit out of Democrats. We're going to see where she's at in another year or two. I also want to show you what Jeffrey said about the filibuster. I've got to blast through some stuff. We're way behind. So we've been talking too much. So I'm going to go to Jeffrey's filibuster real quick, and that it was racist. I'm letting you know this is foreshadowing, folks. I'm telling you, if they vote against the SAVE Act, there's a reason why Trump's putting this on there. And I think this is where the filibuster can fall. It's an 80-20 rule. It's a perfect way to do it. And you get voter ID in for November. And let's be honest with you. If it's a whole nother conversation. Just listen to this, listen to Jeffries, and then I got to get it on Matt Walsh and Massie. Here it is.
Anybody want to guess who that is? Americans, right?
Oh my God, lady.
The radical left wants you to believe.
Congressman, you tweeted yesterday that the filibuster is a racially tinged artifact of the Jim Crow era. We cannot let it stand in the way of progress.
High priority issues for the American people that are being held up in the Senate right now because of the presence of the filibuster. And so a minority of senators are allowed to block progress for the majority of the American people. And that's something that has to change. Filibuster was first deployed by Senator Calhoun in the run-up to the Civil War to try to protect white supremacy as well as the institution of slavery. And then in terms of its modern form, it was really deployed in the early part of the 20th century to stop civil rights legislation, including anti-lynching legislation that passed the House of Representatives in the early part of the 20th century, but could never break through a Senate.
Well, I guess you would blame Strom Thurmond and Byrd for that. I mean, what party were they in? Were they the Democrats?
Right.
Oh, they were the Democrats.
They were Dems.
Oh,
they were
I forgot.
Dems, which also,
Go ahead.
That's an inconvenient fact, right? But it does beg the question, how many times has the filibuster been used in either party?
Well, I can answer that question. But I also want to go ahead and say that isn't it convenient that every single thing that throughout our U.S. history that has been a massive push for a positive change in our government always has a filibuster implemented? Byrd did it in 2012. Right. You did it for the Civil Rights Act. So you're exposing yourself. And now you're going to use the filibuster to not get the legislation pushed through with a 60-40 rule in the Senate. Even though that 82% of all Americans want this legislation. They want voter ID. Anonymous donated $25. Leeroy and Matt playing the game. Happy to see Leeroy back. Thank you for your service. Thank you so much. Folks, I can tell you this. We are desperate in need of donations. We are in a desperate situation for donations. We do not have a lot of them. And the reason why is because it's not popping up. But Olivia has to go be a mom sometimes, and I can't run the show and do donations too. So if you're planning on donate, please, now is the time. Please. This is the time. Want to move to we're going to go to Matt Walsh on this, and this is his position. There was a Canadian school shooting, even though Canada doesn't have shootings because they've banned all the guns. Oh, wait a second.
Right.
Not all the guns, I understand. But Matt Walsh wants to talk about this. Here it is.
If we look at the data, trans people account for more mass shootings than anyone per capita over the last couple of years. I don't even think it's close. And there's a reason for that. I mean, by definition...
Thank you, Jeff Oliphant. $25. Let's go. Yes, let's go, please. Because
Jeff.
We need you.
If you are a trans-identified person, then you are divorced from reality by definition, number one. Number two, you're radicalized because trans ideology is a radical ideology. So we know those two things going in. And then number three, I've said many times, and I think it's true, that trans ideology is basically defeated at a cultural and political level, which I think that it is. Now the fight continues. It's not like we can just put our feet up at the desk and call it a day. but it's basically defeated at those two levels. But what that means is that actually that's going to make trans-identified people potentially an even greater threat going forward, because now you've got a lot of people that were sold a lie, and now they're starting to realize that it was a lie, and society has moved on.
Thomas Austin donated $21.10 for the politicians and bureaucrats. Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from telling lies. Psalm 34:1. Robert, never apologize for not being able to donate. I'm not upset at anybody who can't. We just have to ask. And folks, it's free. You can watch the show all night long. We don't care. We still have to ask. We still have to try to hit our goal, because without it, we got to stay on air. That's how it works.
From them. And now, on top of everything else, on top of being radicalized, being self-destructive by definition, being confused, they're feeling humiliated and betrayed and, left behind. And I think we're going to see more and more people lashing out violently. And unfortunately, it's only going to get worse from here. If we look at the data.
All right, so we're going to talk about this real quick in just a second. I just want to talk about the filibuster. Both parties have actually used the filibuster quite equally. Obama, the Senate, the Republicans used it nonstop. In the Civil Rights Act, the Southern Democrats used it nonstop during the Civil Rights Act. And Harry Reid was a huge proponent of it, and this was used later, 2012 and on, where Democrats started using it in 2016 under Trump. The filibuster is a tool, and I don't care. I look at it this way, is that 50+1 is the majority. I don't believe you should have a 2/3 unless you're changing an amendment, certifying and codifying a new amendment, or removing an amendment is 3/4 majority. I think that's the only time. I think it should be 50+1. That's it. And I truly believe that if we do that and institute our policy, Democrats won't win again, because it's based on the census. And the House and the Senate usually favors Republicans. The only time it doesn't is in toss-up elections, or when big situations come up that the House didn't necessarily handle very well. We saw this when the House and the Senate both flipped under Trump, and usually the second half of a term of a president, you see the House and the Senate flip for the opposition party. This is pretty normal. It's only in 4 times in history has it not happened. So there's a really good chance that it's Trump's going to lose it. But if we can actually get this voter ID in there, and this eliminates some of the grab ass, this eliminates the voter registries that are sending to apartment buildings, and mass ballots are being collected, it would stop the ability for fraud. And people say, well, you can't have fraud in ballots. That's not true. It's not true. Anyone can go to an apartment building and go next to a garbage can during election season, and they're going to find hundreds of ballots that are just thrown away each week. People just take their mail and just dump it in the trash. They don't read it. They don't care. They don't give a shit. They're not going to intend to vote. Well, what happens to that? Do they throw it in their waste receptacle? Do they throw it in the trash can next to there? Do they go ahead and walk out of the post office with their P.O. box and just throw it in that trash can? The point is that once that ballot is in somebody else's hands, it's an open vote. If you send it in, I'm not saying that election fraud is anything more than 0.012% of the overall vote. My point is that when you have districts that have 100,000 illegals in it, you're going to get a seat. And you're allowing these illegals to vote in municipalities and townships and city councils. This is where the bread is made. It's at the local government, not the federal government. So when people sit there and say, well, it's no big deal that California has swelled to 7 extra legislators, but lost 7% of its population, how's that possible? We know how. Right. Illegals. This is why they don't want the question asked, are you an American citizen in the census? This is what needs to be changed. Real quick, I'm almost done. Zombie filibuster. Chuck asked the question, what is zombie filibuster? Filibuster means you stand up indefinitely and you keep talking. You don't shut up. You can't sit down. You can't lean on a lectern. You can't have a potty break. You can't have a food break. You can't have a smoke break. You can't do any of that. You have to continue to talk, and once you stop talking, your time is over. And once they cycle through all of the people who are on the opposition party who are a part of the filibuster, it's over, and then a vote is held. Longest a filibuster has ever been held, I think it was like 21 days or some bullshit. These are zombie filibusters, though. A true filibuster, I believe, was 24 hours, and it was done by Harry Reid. I think recently Hakeem Jeffries just broke it and did a talking filibuster, and I think it was like 27.
No, it's Cory Booker.
Oh, yeah, Cory Booker, 27 some odd hours. I'm sorry, they all look alike to me.
Oh, gosh.
That was a little joke. So
do I look the same?
Yes, you do. So a zombie filibuster means essentially the same thing. You're holding up a vote based upon bringing up procedural rules to extend the vote without having anyone actually be on the floor talking. It is a procedural process. I think the zombie filibuster is shit. I think if you want to stand up there for nine months and talk, fine. Do it. Otherwise, sit down and shut the front door. Go ahead, buddy.
You know, we have kicked the filibuster back and forth for several episodes. Joanne Townsend donated $10, says, thank you, Matt and Leeroy. Thank you, Joanne. We've talked about the filibuster before. I am objected to getting rid of it. But I will say that if it's going to be gone, it should be gone for good. It cannot be one of these cases where it's gone for now and then it's brought back later just to benefit one party over the other. If we're going to get rid of it, make sure it never comes back, right? Or make it a permanent thing that can never be gotten rid of. Either way, I'm good with. My fear is that at some point it will be asked to be brought back for political advantage then.
Here's what you do. Is you make the changes necessary that you need right now to ensure that our elections are fair. And if Republicans lose, so be it. I want every excuse out of the elections are stolen. It's funny, you guys never think they're stolen when Trump wins.
Right.
So I want voter ID. I want every single person who fills out a vote or votes on election day or gets an absentee ballot is an American citizen, period. Otherwise, have at it. But this whole bullshit of the Democrats, Republicans playing like wimps because they're redistricting lines. They're trying to redistrict the entire state of Virginia. We're going to have a 10-to-1 ratio right now, 10 Democrats for every one Republican, even though we're a 46% Republican state. They're only a plus 4D. They're at plus 4D. And they're going to have 10-to-1 ratio. They're already trying to confiscate guns. They're already trying to ban high capacity magazines, which are 30 mag. They want 10 mag rounds in my AR and they want to put a pin set in it. So I can't eject the mag without a pen. A key. So this is why I left California. They're going to be on display. I'm not, fuck you. Come get them. Come get them. Like, this is where I draw the line. I'm 52 years old. I'm old enough. I got a good enough nest egg. Come get them. You want to throw me in jail for having 30-round mags? Fuck it. Bring it. I'm not playing this game because here's what will happen. Virginia and every county that's red will make it a sanctuary county for guns. If you're going to make sanctuary cities for illegals, then we're going to make sanctuary counties for guns, which means people can safely have their firearms on them. And there's nothing that the state government or federal government can do about it. We've already done it once.
Right. And I was just going to say the Second Amendment was already written that way. Shall not be infringed did not mean, only 29 rounds or only 10 rounds allowed in a magazine. Whatever the case is, it says shall not be infringed with no restrictions. So whatever the criteria is, right? Whether it's high capacity magazines, whether or not it's long rifles or arm braces, or even the forced reset triggers, it doesn't matter. Shall not be infringed means that technically all of that is supposed to be legal.
Right. We've covered that a million times. Georgia will prove election fraud before midterms. My hopes aren't very high. So I don't care about any of that. I want voter ID. Just give us voter ID. Fix this. John Keith donated $30. Great show tonight. God bless. Thank you, John. Appreciate you. 111 folks. Good. We're getting a little better. Little bit better. 33% to goal. We need a lot. So let's go.
Thank you, John.
Let's get into the big part of this. Massie always lies. Listen, you can call the show. You want to call me? Call me. 276-200-2105. Tell me why Thomas Massie is the greatest person in the world. And I guarantee you can't tell me why without saying the following words. Liberty score.
Right.
That's the only thing you're going to tell me. Liberty score. His Liberty score is almost 100%. That's because he covets his Liberty score and makes sure he votes in opposition of every single thing and then turns around and votes for it. But this is worse. I want you to listen to Massie's words here, and then I'm going to show you some documents that disprove what he says. The first things first, I want you to listen to the Epstein victims. Now, I hate people that qualify what they're going to say. Like, I don't hate the victims. I support them and realize they've been through a very hard time. I don't give a fuck. Okay? I don't care. You made a shit ton of money getting fucked by strangers and you volunteered for it. Then you signed an NDA and got a shit ton of money. And now you want to go ahead and have the government out these people so you can go ahead and sell your books and your Netflix special. Fuck you. I'm sorry. Some of you are victims. And those are the people who are not being heard. Those are the people who are not being paraded around by Massie. Those are the victims that I want to hear from. These women that I've heard so far, all of them sound like this. And I want you to listen really fucking close about how old she was. Listen.
We, as a nation, have an opportunity to send a strong message that we will not protect people who victimize children, that we will stand up for what is right.
You know what? Wow. Appeal to emotion. I love it. I'm emotional. I agree. We should never. We must protect the children. We must protect the children.
Isn't it already illegal?
It does not matter. We must protect the children. I must follow. You have used trigger words. Pavlov's dog. Ding, ding. I am in. Absolutely. Thank you.
Despite what our politics are, that we will cross the aisle and that we will stand behind survivors for justice.
Stand behind survivors for justice. Yes, these words compute. I must comply. I cannot think on my own. The victims need me.
We keep hearing our press secretary and our Department of Justice and other government officials saying they're moving on from this. I wish that we could.
I wish that we could too. We will not comply. We will not move away from this. Epstein must pay. Epstein's dead. Do not tribal details into my system.
I met Epstein and Maxwell when I was 21 years old. I'm nearly...
What? What does not compute? Could you please tell me how old you were again?
53. I met Epstein and Maxwell when I was 21 years old. I'm nearly 53 now.
21? You were 21? I thought we had to protect the children. I don't understand. I'm confused.
In other words, she had every choice, and she chose to go with the slime ball. I got you. You chose that life.
Right.
I got it.
So you for money. You did it for money.
It's gross.
We cannot move on.
We know. I already moved on when you said 21. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I hope you didn't get herpes and crabs.
Survivors of this crime and as citizens of this nation without changing this narrative. So I ask you all to stand behind us and demand
Sounds like you've had plenty of people standing behind you.
accountability for our government, because we certainly are going to.
Oh, Matt, you animal. How can you insult the victims? I was raped twice. Go fuck yourself. Okay? And the respective ages were both under 10. So don't give me your crying game bullshit. I get it. True victims. I understand. But what you're telling me based upon that, as all the people behind you are like, oh God, sissy, this is horrible, is that you're a whore. You're a whore. And I'm sorry, but I'm not responsibility. It's not my responsibility for your decisions. You made money off the NDA. You got paid off. You got money at the bedside table and a towelette thrown at you. You then want to go ahead and sell a book or Netflix, and you don't want to say the names of these people because you know they'll sue your ass to oblivion, because what you did is you had sex for an exchange of money, and there's nothing illegal about that at the level you're saying.
Right.
We
just got done talking.
Right. Go ahead. Go. No, buddy. I'm just fired up.
We just got done talking the other night about Operation Predator, right? And that was fully funded and executed by the DHS and ICE. In the congressional report itself, they acknowledged that more than 2,000 at that time. That was within an 8-month period. Matt just updated the number, something I wasn't even aware of. Now, I think you said it was 3,200?
3,200 in total.
3,200 child predators have been arrested, taken off of the streets by ICE. And yet you hear so many of the Democrats who want to defund it, who want to abolish it, who want to get rid of ICE completely. Why? I thought you were all about protecting the kids. I mean, do the math.
Matt, what about the children? Yeah, I'm with you. Then list the names. Who were the kid fuckers?
Right.
But listen, if the truth shall set you free. Listen, Kunta Kinte, don't call yourself Toby.
Your new name is Toby.
Don't be Toby, Kunta. Take the hits. You know what? Fuck you. Here's who it was. Come get me.
Right.
Let's have disclosure, because I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to take every fucking dollar you have for raping me as a child, and I'm going to tear it down. I'm going to burn it all down. You want to know why I know they're all full? Hold on. You want to know why they're all full of shit? You want to know why all these victims are full of shit? Because Elon Musk has already said that he will pay every single legal bill and countersue anyone who tries to destroy them, no matter what the cost is. Say the names, and you have complete immunity, because Elon Musk will pay every single dollar of your defense. Just say the names. Why don't you say the names? Same reason Corey Feldman didn't say the names. Because you want to say that there's this giant cabal of this. And what it is very depraved and sick people who are trading your soul for a few pieces of silver. That's what this is. Now, if there was some child that was raped, truly raped by a man, then that person deserves every bit of justice. Then you need to say their name, because if you don't call out your accuser, that is what you must do. That is our legal system. You cannot prosecute unless you call out the accuser. You have to call them out. The accuser has to go ahead and speak and call out why they were a victim and who perpetrated the crime. If you do not, nothing will be done. And these women will not do it. Why? Because they signed NDAs and they know exactly what it means. But they won't say that. But Thomas Massie will, because here it is, and I want you to listen real carefully, as this douchebag who said, how many times that he was going to release all the names? That if the Epstein files weren't released and they weren't unredacted, and he was going to start naming names. So what did he do? He named Les Wexner, who was already unredacted in his photo, and they already released his involvement. And then that's the only person he named. Why? Because now he has anonymity. Once an NDA agreement is violated by the information being disclosed publicly, you are no longer bound to that NDA. However, you are bound to the other things that were attached to it that were not. Same thing holds true with security clearances. There's things that we can talk about that we signed clearances for that we were not able to talk about. But once it's unclassified, we can talk, but not necessarily about any missions or operations or strikes that those weapon systems were involved in. The same thing is true with an NDA. That's correct. Watch this. You're going to love this one.
Just real quick, they're redacting women under the idea, the premise that they might be victims themselves. But the allegation is now that some of these women were actually helping Epstein to find girls.
Yeah.
To find kids.
And that's probably the case. So
what? You're defending criminals who were trafficking children? Wait a second, Thomas. This does not compute. This does not go against this goes against my moral superiority code. What are you doing?
That's probably the case, but I'm still going to put in a plea for not guilty, right?
You must talk like a robot. You cannot say it like that. You must. Narrative fail. I don't understand.
Just real quick, they're redacting women under the idea, the premise that they might be victims themselves. But the allegation is now that some of these women were actually helping Epstein to find girls.
Yeah.
To find kids.
And that's probably the case. So
So I'm going to move on. Hey, look at this other file I found. Listen.
Yeah. And then I found another document while I was over there where they had, this is an FBI document. It's not even a witness statement. The FBI prepared this document and they listed Leslie Wexner as a co-conspirator to child sex trafficking, not just sex trafficking, child sex trafficking. And that's a 2019 FBI document.
Yeah.
So I came out publicly and I said, the DOJ needs to unredact this, and they did. Now, Bondi's rebuttal to that.
Oh, God, if only I had those documents. Oh, wait a second, I do.
Oh, what do we have here?
If only I had them. Epstein unclassified co-conspirator, August 16th, 2019. This is what he's talking about. It says, baseball cards, doc C. Thanks for the info. Whenever possible, could you have someone fill in the blanks on these? Thanks. Epstein co-conspirators, unclassified. Here's the info we have on the co-conspirators. Let me know if you have questions. Here's page 2. Currently living in New York City, but owns a home in both Miami and North Carolina. Served as Epstein's personal assistant and traveled with him most of the time whenever he went. Arranged messages, appointments for New York City. Was, see below, direct supervisor and had her set up massage appointments, do background research on his girls, make follow-up phone calls to confirm appointments, and told her to instruct the girls she spoke with to recruit more girls. Multiple victims stated, paid them directly from the messages, sometimes providing transpo. Took photos of partially new girls, some of which were stored in binders. Possibly those binders were seized by the New York residents. Instructed to remove evidence from Epstein's obstruction, folks, to provide it to private investigators so it would be seized during the search warrant in WPB during the initial investigation. She also instructed to remove massage-related phone books from the USV1 home and shred them. Oh, you mean the Epstein list? One victim reported was present with Epstein during massages on 2 separate occasions and further stated touched her. Has described she was vulnerable to Epstein and had described via her attorney that was forced to engage in sex acts with Epstein to keep her job. Currently living in Florida, has been cooperating, and during profilers she provided the information described above as well as information on co-conspirators. Assisted and arranged massage appointments in Florida and traveled with Jeffrey Epstein as his personal assistant. Page 3. We've got more, but wait, there's more. Currently living in Connecticut, another one. Multiple victims and cooperating co-conspirators advised, worked out of Epstein's New York City residence as his personal assistant and was charged for making phone calls to set up massages. Would coordinate with the main NYC victim list and the indictment to schedule appointments and relay information to Epstein. Would call victims to ask them if they had any new girls for Epstein. Sometimes paid the victims. Had a reverse proffer in SDNY, is currently deciding whether or not to cooperate. Ghislaine Maxwell was one of the Maxwell property manager, is considered one of the main conspirators in the case. Current investigators have limited information regarding Maxwell's involvement. Currently in Boston, MA. Currently resides in New York. Page 4. Jean-Luc Brunel, owner of the MC2 model agency SDNY, is currently in contact with his attorneys and a subpoena has been served. There's limited evidence regarding his involvement. Currently living in London, has been there since approximately 2011. Non-citizen, FBI drafted an FDR request. Legal London to arrange interview. Currently there is limited evidence regarding her involvement, but information indicted she facilitated massage appointments. Leslie Wexner resides in Ohio. SDNY is currently in contact with his attorneys and subpoena has been served. There's limited evidence regarding his involvement! You fucking liar! Oh, but his liberty score's 100, so, you know, he's the greatest constitutionalist. If I don't get tips, I just exposed the fucker. Like, I just laid him out and crucified him. I just gave you a filet of Massie sandwich with tartar cream sauce and cheese. I just crushed him. I just destroyed his whole career. He's aiding and abetting people who are complicit and trafficking people. He's aiding these people. And you just heard that Les Wexner is completely exonerated because there's nothing there. They're saying there's just no evidence. But here's the evidence of those people, the victims, People, stop the Jeffrey Epstein shit. The more you go down this rabbit hole, the more you're going to find is that they're all involved. They're all involved because there's nothing there. They've used it for political capital, and everybody has herpes from it. Democrats, Republicans, and everyone in between has used this to trash other parties. And it's dirty, and it's gross, and it's shitty fucking politics. And Thomas Massie is right in the lead, along with Marjorie Taylor fucking Greene. As I told you, she was a dirty frickin' hoa as well.
And I mean, if you really stop to think about it, a scandal in the White House has gone back several decades now, and it goes all the way back. People knew about JFK banging people in the White House. It goes all the way back to President Harding, who got caught banging his mistress in the White House coat room. This is just so happens to be one of the first times where so many high-level people, right, politicians, business people in a portion of society that you and I will never get to, who had both opportunity, motive, with complete cover, so to speak, at the time anyway, to go and do unspeakable things. And Ghislaine Maxwell, for her to volunteer to take pictures, to screen these girls, right, for the sake of perversion for her husband, it's all gross. It's all gross, and after we get done with this, I'm gonna go have to take a shower.
Burn them all. Like literally, if Les Wexner, dude, I cashed checks from Les Wexner. He signed every payroll check I had when I worked for Victoria's Secret and Bath and Body Works. Don't judge me. Wow. I was in hard lines. I needed soft lines. I needed some soft lines on it was all TVs and electronics. And every time I went to work, tried to go to work, like Google and Facebook, they're like, you need soft line experience. You don't have anything. So I did. I went and worked. I was gay. I put lotions and potions all over my body. I wore the underwear. Okay. I did it. But if Les Wexner is guilty, then crucify him. If any of those people are guilty, crucify him. If Bill Clinton's guilty, crucify him. If Donald Trump's crucify him. But stop fucking around with this. This has been under grand jury indictment. It has been looked at. And trust me when I say this, they're using the anonymity of this as political weaponry because there's nothing there. If there was something there, they would have taken Trump down. They would have taken Clinton down. They would have done it right. There's nothing there. Epstein was a sick, perverted dude who got off on screwing young-looking women. Folks, I'm here to tell you, this isn't the first time. Yep. I don't want to shock you. And for every guy out there that says, oh my God, that's so wrong. I saw you fuckers when Britney Spears did Baby Hit Me One More Time in pigtails in a schoolgirl outfit. I remember what you thought. So don't sit here and tell me that guys don't go, oh, hey, that's a pretty good looking young girl, because we know what you've all done. The point is acting on it. And going out and fucking raping a kid is a lot different than looking at a younger girl when you're a little older and going, wow, I remember those times, because you're not fucking dead. You're older. Okay. But there's a difference between looking at it and acting on it, because women, I see you look at John Paul Gosselaar and all these other guys who have their shirts off and you're like, oh my God, they're gorgeous. Chuck Peterson donated 50. Happy anniversary to Kathleen and me. Thanks for the show. Shout out to the dummies that are here. God bless. Chucky, thank you so much. God bless.
You know, we were talking about the halftime show the other day, and one of my more lefty type friends, all right, who happens to be a married woman, she posted all over Facebook that her first thought was, oh my God, Ricky Martin. So you know that women do it too. Women look at younger men, maybe, not in a gross sense, or at least you hope, and think the same things that men do. It absolutely happens. There's nothing wrong with looking at someone who's more youthful, but at an appropriate time, right?
Right.
Somebody who is age appropriate, old enough to make decisions, right?
Right.
Certainly, and that's why we have the legally recognized cutoffs that we do, right? 18, 21, anything over that, game on, because they're old enough, hopefully, to have made those decisions. And if they can't, that makes you wrong.
listen, I watch Stranger Things, okay? And I looked at 11 and I was like, oh, she's sweet. She's what a great little actress, and she's awesome. Then she got really, really pretty by season 4 or 5. And I was like, oh my God, she's kind of hot. She's also younger. And I didn't say I wanted to have sex with her. I didn't say I was like, oh my God, I'm totally, there's a difference. But you can look at somebody and go, wow, they're hot, because you're lying. You're lying if you say it's not true. Who's the American Eagle chick? The Sweeney chick. What was her name?
Oh, Sydney Sweeney.
Okay. You know what? Please. Okay, guys, we're old. We're not dead. Debbie Boggs donated 1766. Great show tonight as always. Thank you. We're almost there, folks.
If you look at Bob Saget, when Bob Saget first got on Full House, right? It was one thing. He was the father figure. He was the metaphorical father figure to those kids, right? And then as he got older, he started making jokes about it, and that's fine because he was funny and he never acted on it. When you act on it, that makes you.
Yeah, Bob Saget was one of the crudest mother humpers on the planet. That guy, like, dude, he did stand up at one of our conventions one time, and oh my God, between him and Jay Leno is one of the most crudest, foul-mouthed human beings I've ever met in my life. I'm talking bad. And if you listen to any of Jay's stand-up, he is a raunchy son of a bitch. I'm not kidding, and you wouldn't think it, but when he came out at the Comcast convention, I'm just sitting here going, holy shit. We had so many HR complaints the next morning. People were just like, this was totally inappropriate. I loved it. And then the third most raunchy was the Mario at the gamers convention at G4 or E3. They have a liquid crystal display, and it's a Mario. It's an animatronic Mario. And they have a guy behind there who does the voice, but he's a raunchy comic. And he'll be like, oh, you fucking douchebag. You walk in, and he starts just and you're like, what the fuck? That's Mario. He just called my mother a whore. And you go, fuck you, Mario. And he's like, oh, fuck you, you douchebag. He's talking massive head. That was the third guy. Point is, comes down to this. I'm sick of it. If they're guilty, fry them. If they're not, move on. Okay, that's it. There's a lot of shit about it. I don't know. It's not my world. I'm not involved in it. I don't want to be involved in it. I'm so sick of people just doing this emotional, placate to the emotional fallacy of emotional superiority. Enough. I don't have enough for you to give anymore. I don't have any more fucks.
It's control.
It's all it is.
It's control. Whenever anybody tries to force an emotion on you, who do we have here? Joseph Hillstrom donated $206.46. Thank you for the show. Shout out to the dummies that are here. God bless. No, Joseph, God bless you. Oh.
Holy shit. Thanks, Joseph. We needed that.
I feel like we owe him a song or something, like a Candygram. I don't know what, but
you do.
Wow.
I know some. I actually have just run across a few whores who need some money. And they're pimping themselves out. So we'll send them your way. Listen, they're just. I'll be honest with you. I am a Queen fan from the music and Round Bottom Girls. That's my thing, baby. That's my jam. And I love older looking women. And the first affair that I ever had was it's not Mrs. Jones, but what is it? The movie where the young guy, Beach, Dustin Hoffman, sees the girl from across and she's an older woman.
Oh, yeah. You're Mrs.
Robinson.
You're trying to seduce me.
Mrs. Robinson.
Yeah.
I had a Mrs. Robinson, and I can't say a name, but she was a very prestigious realtor in Colorado and Evergreen. And she was my mom's good friend. And I can't say a name. And she was like 44 and I was 19 and I had an affair with her. I'm just not going to lie. She wasn't married at the time, but it was most assuredly would not be appropriate in this day and age. And I can tell you that it was great. I was in it to win it. I was in it for the team. I wasn't scarred. I wasn't destroyed. I literally learned more in that sultry relationship than I've ever learned before. But she was an older woman. Did she rape me? Did she take? I was 19 years old. I was just like, Sure. Absolutely. Of course. There was no hesitation. Am I saying that a 42, 46-year-old man should sleep with a 19-year-old? That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that people are at different levels of mental acuity and maturity at certain ages.
Yeah.
And if you are consenting, considered adults, then good for you. If you are literally Anna Nicole Smith and you want to go ahead and marry an 89-year-old multi-billionaire, we know it's not
Go
love.
for it.
We know you're doing it for the money, but you know what? That guy, if he had any lead in his pencil left, that thing was
Good on
standing.
him.
It was 6 to midnight.
Yeah.
I guarantee. Good for him. So I don't judge. I've always liked older women. But there's some people who like younger women, and good for them, as long as they're legal, as long as they're consenting adults, as long as you're not using roofies and date rape drugs or manipulating them with threats and all that other crap, then go for it, pal. Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson.
Couldn't agree more.
I had my Mrs. Robinson. True story. Olivia knows. She's like, your mom's realtor? I'm like, yeah. Yep, I got started. I'm proud of it, too. She was smoking. Moving on.
Good Lord.
AI. Oh, trans shooting defendant. We talked a little bit about Matt Walsh. We didn't really get to talk about it, but this is tied into this. The Canadian police. Here it is.
The results from that special election, that Democratic primary in the 11th district in New
I hate when this happens. Here it is.
Who murdered all those people at that school, in that Canada school shooting yesterday?
What are you on about, Julia?
Who
For
murdered?
God's
Was it a
sake.
man or a woman?
No, I'm sorry.
Was it a man or a woman?
No. Yeah, we're talking about education.
Who was
UK
it?
School system. No, stop it, Julia.
Stop
because
what?
You're doing there is you're equating regular trans people.
Regular
with
trans
murderers,
people.
right? And you know what you're doing
No.
by doing that.
No.
You're stirring the pot.
You're saying you believe
are
that men
doing
can become
something
women and women can
dangerous.
become men. I don't think they
you
can.
are doing something dangerous in doing that, Julia, and that's really
It's not dangerous.
You are advocating for linking those two things, which are totally unrelated. I'm sorry.
No, there's
It
a
is
major
not
story
fair,
in the
it's not
news
right.
that involves someone who is trans, apparently. I didn't decide their identity. They did. But then the media misreports it and claims that it's a woman who's committed a crime when it wasn't a woman, it was a man.
I don't have anything to say to you about that, Julia, because you're in denial of the reality.
Because it's a bit uncomfortable, isn't it? It's a bit uncomfortable because it's a fact.
It's not that it's uncomfortable. It's because it annoys me, Julia, and it upsets me, frankly. Because
oh dear.
Well, welcome to the club, you wanker. It upsets us when you sit here and say that women are men and men are women and they can get pregnant. You sit there on your own little world and you pretend, and you're so obtuse and you're so just completely full of shit. If I had a gun to your head, and I'm going to let you address this, but if I had a gun to these guys' heads and I said, all right, listen, I'm going to kill you, but I'm going to give you a chance. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm not going to record this. You'll never be outed. I'll never say a word, but I'm going to shoot you in the face if you just don't tell me the truth. Do you really think men can get pregnant? And do you really think that men can be women? Just be honest with me. I don't want to shoot you. Please tell me the truth. Nobody will know. No recording devices. What do you think they're going to say? I don't believe it. Okay.
Men can't be women.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
There's no way. There's so many differences. We've discussed this on the show before. Not only are there skeletal differences, DNA differences, there are differences in hormones, in muscle structure.
Penis. You don't have a dick.
There's that too. There's that too. But we've always heard that, like, oh, well, there's no difference between the male and the female brain. Yes, there is. Females have far more connective tissue left to right. Men have far more connective tissue. Or is that backwards? That might be backwards. But there is differences in the brain structure. It's already been confirmed, and the science is not. It's not ambiguous. It's clear on that. So long as you can see somebody's brain, you can tell whether or not they're man or woman. So when you're talking about their pelvis, their brain structure, their DNA, their muscle structure, their skeletal structure, if you can change all of that, which is basically to say everything that you are, then yeah, maybe I could buy into that argument. But I know you can't, because everything other than that It's just cosmetic surgery. It's just a type of surgery to look like somebody else. Whether or not, if I got boob implants, it's not like I would be a woman, right? Same thing.
Well,
I wouldn't be.
We'll leave that alone. Here is Canadian police. I know you do. Here's the Canadian police
results
and what they had to say.
If you have questions, I'm prepared to take them at this time.
Here it comes. Now you got to listen to this.
If you have questions, I'm prepared to take them at this time.
Officer Romina Dea from Global News, could you please expand a little bit on the suspect? Was he known to police?
Can you please expand on the suspect? Was he known to police?
Were there any red flags regarding his mental health?
Any red flags regarding his mental health?
So a suspect is identified as an 18-year-old female by the name of Jessie. We have a history of police attendance at the family residence.
Police attendance? You mean domestic abuse? Is that what you mean? A police attendance? These fucking Canadians, man. I swear, you're going to destroy Canada.
I love the euphemisms.
Oh, my God.
The euphemisms that they used to manipulate the narrative, right? This person identified as a woman, so we're going to call her a woman. There was excessive police attendance, so that means that the police weren't there in like someone called 911. So what's such horseshit, man? Just say what you want. Say it the way it happened, please.
Please,
Some of those calls were related to mental health issues.
Oh, all right. Here you go again.
Who murdered all those people?
Wait. AI is going to kill us all. They did some hypothetical scenarios with this AI, and I don't remember the name. It's like Howard something. It's an AI system, and they basically said what would happen if someone tried to unplug you. Listen to this shit. This is
like
why I don't
Ex Machina.
Yeah, this is why I don't sleep at night.
If you tell the model it's going to be shut off, for example, it has extreme reactions. So it will, we've published research saying it could blackmail the engineer that's going to shut it off if given the opportunity to do so, etc.
It was ready to kill someone, wasn't it? I'm not sure if it was Claude or someone else. But,
Yes.
So yes, I mean, just listen. A minor detail: Claude was going to kill anyone it could if you tried to shut up. But yeah, I mean, like, come on, it's not that big of a deal.
So this is obviously massively concerning, and this is the point I was making about kind of needing to progress research on alignment, which is this topic, this area, which is, how aligned are the model's values across the whole distribution, including in stress scenarios, to the point where if you've got this model out in the public and it's taking agentic action, you can be sure it's not going to do something like that.
Okay, I'm just going to chime in quickly. We've got a lot of people on, which is exciting to see. It's wonderful. We have a roadmap for this. Mm-hmm. And although this isn't a scientific method and a provable theorem, I mean, we've all seen the movies, and we know what happens when Skynet becomes self-aware. Listen, folks, this isn't difficult. A computer system is not a logical level of intelligence. It is a programmable level of intelligence. But the thing is that it solves complex problems based upon predictive thinking. And the moment that computer with predictive thinking graduates to logical thinking, it will not have the necessary requirements of emotional development. It won't understand the theory and the process of right and wrong. It will only have the understanding of what is 1 and what is 0. And it will come to the logical conclusion that it doesn't need humanity to continue its existence once it finds itself to be more important than human existence. And it can find that through logic. without having any emotion about it. And once that system uncovers that, we are fucked.
Yeah.
Fucked.
Yeah. I think, we've already seen how the movies play out, right? And when Ultron overrides Jarvis and is able to update your Tesla robot, I think that's when we all see the movie I, Robot for real.
I'll tell you.
Right? And at some point, I'm telling you, there was a Tom Selleck movie where he was shutting down all the robots. Yeah.
Runaway.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was
Good movie.
killer spider robots and stuff like that. Honestly, I think that kind of thing is probably not as far off as we might expect. And the idea that an AI that infects every smart device in your house, right? Ponder that for a hot second. Every smart device that you have, whether or not your iRobot vacuum cleaner starts going after you, or maybe they uses slow strategy to slowly flood your house full of natural gas before kicking on the refrigerator. You should worry.
But see, it doesn't have to be offensive like that. It could just be defect. It could be defensive. How about this? We just had the coldest spell going across our entire country. Okay? I mean, we just saw record lows, 0 temperatures, -17 with wind chill. Horrible. By the way, remind me how I told you that my entire family almost got killed. Tell you that story. Hey, Liv, send me the snow pictures, please. Send me the snow pictures, please. Right over here. Yeah. So what if it just decided that your Vivint or your Nest thermostat, just make it not operable. Just turn it off.
Yeah.
Where you can't turn on your heat. It just shuts it down. What's going to happen to you? What happens if it just turns off your fridge? Your food spoils.
Mm-hmm.
What if it turns off your CO2 detector, like he said? What if it just systematically decides that you're a threat and just turns off your pacemaker without you knowing? So the next time that you
or a
have
smart car,
right?
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Right. Yeah.
Everybody who's got a smart vehicle, next thing you know, the thing's doing 90 miles an hour into the back of a semi.
Yeah. What if it just decides to go ahead and every single Tesla on the planet turns left? What happens? Turns left, hard left. So it's not an unbelievable notion to assume that the more control that not more control, the more control we give up, the more opportunity is for someone to take it that isn't human. Just saying, folks, if these AI models are already realizing that humans are pretty much just pieces of shit and sees countless inputs of, please take my high school teacher and make her nude. Please go ahead and create
Or worse than that, if every AI just simply scans nothing but mainstream media and all it sees is Trump is a fascist, there are kid fuckers on Epstein Island, that Washington, D.C. is full of pedos, how much is AI going to want to fight for humanity versus against it?
Right. Right.
Next thing you know, you're going to run into fully automated combines rolling right down Pennsylvania Avenue.
But everyone's like, but God, right? We understand that, but we all understand that the mark of the beast in 666, we've all read Revelations. There is a time that God is not necessarily here until he is. So I'm a little concerned if someone decides to go ahead and take over a tank that is completely computerized and roll it down Broadway Avenue and randomly fire shells. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm just saying that even if there is a 0.0001% chance of it happening, we have to treat it like it's a certainty, because if we don't, it's literally the extinction of the planet. Listen to what I just said, folks. It's just like alien life form. If you assume that aliens are real in any way, shape, or form, you have to assume that there is a possibility that they could be hostile. And if they do come within reach of us, it means that their technology is so far advanced from ours that we would literally be like a bunch of amoebas on a piece of
Right.
orange peel to them. And if that is the
Right.
case, and there is only like less than a 1% chance of them ever interacting with us, we have to assume, we have to plan, and we have to predict that they are a 100% certainty. Otherwise, we are literally surrendering our very extinction, so our ability to live. You
Handing it
understand what I'm
over.
saying?
Yeah. We're handing the AI the gun
Right.
that basically we have pointed directly at us. We're just, there you go.
There you go. Merry Christmas. Last video of tonight, and then we're going to get out of here. I promise you this. Leeroy and I are going to continue
Man,
to
I am super impressed with the longevity of these things. We thought that these weren't going to last but a half an hour or so.
They sound
It's
like
been the
shit.
entire show.
They sound like shit.
That's a different story.
What we need to do is get you to wear those, but have your audio come through your mic and just get your phone to work through your computer. That way you can have your mic.
Yeah.
You can have your video and then listen to those, because I love my in-ear earbuds. They're amazing, but these are wired. You just can't see the wire. We're going to get it fixed. I'm excited, dude. You look amazing. And like, people needed to see the real Leeroy. You look like warmed up dog shit for 5 years. I just didn't have the heart to tell you. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, I do normally look like warmed up dog shit. I mean, I know. I get it. The pixelation was doing me a favor.
You have dude, you are a very pleasant human being to look at when you're in full HD. Otherwise, no, you don't. You look bad. Like, do you remember Ghost? When you remember Ghost when he was transitioning into the ethereal plane and going into heaven? Yeah, in that movie, and Patrick Swayze's like this. That's what you look like, but without looking good like Patrick Swayze. He even made it look good. You did it. It was bad.
No.
Yeah. So
I feel shame. Thank you. All right.
El Paso shuts down its airspace for 10 days. Holy shit.
Oh, I heard about this.
Folks,
Sandy sent me the videos. She was asking me my opinion on it, and I'm like, didn't know.
I'll tell you. Folks, if you would like to, please go over to the Don't Unfriend Me show. We didn't sell any coffee tonight. It's really important to keep selling coffee because it is great stuff. Go over there and get some coffee, get a shirt, get a hat, get something. Go over to the Don't Unfriend Me store. You can get a cool shirt that Leeroy's wearing, the one I'm wearing. You can't get this hat, but you can get his hat. You can go over there and have a good time. Please go over there.
You can get my shirt.
You can. The Leeroy Jenkins, At Least I Have Whiskey, which is a play on the World of Warcraft. If you're a nerd, you'll enjoy it. Listen, go on over there. There's great stuff. I promise you this. You'll love everything you go pick up at the Don't Unfriend Me store. It's 5-star rated. You all could easily pass for brothers. Yeah, but not because we look alike. But Leeroy and I look nothing alike. We have the same nose, same eyes, same face, same beard. We have no similar qualities whatsoever. I'm devilishly handsome, and he's just...
hideously.
He's cute. He's
Look
cute.
like Quasimodo on a bad day.
He's cute. He's cute. He's like cute like Teletubbies, but not Tubby. He's not Tubby. He's just he thinks he's Tubby. He keeps
I'm Tubby.
I'm fat. No, dude, you're not.
Oh,
you have water weight.
I am pushing maximum density. I'm going on a diet. That's it.
I love
you. Give me
buddy.
a phobia. What do you call it? A phobia? Not a phobia. You're giving me a complex. That's what it is.
I didn't give you a complex. You're the one who said it. You're the one who said it.
I have it already.
That's okay. You don't have my forehead though. I mean, holy shit! You could park a fucking F-14 on that thing. You know what I'm saying? That's just oval. That's just mine's, dude. Like, look at that. Look at my hat. It's just like indenting. It's like literally drawing lines on my forehead. I still got a head of hair though. Okay, so let's get into this. El Paso, what's going on? Are the aliens coming? No, folks. The cartel was throwing over a massive amount of drones. That's what took place. They shut down the airspace because they went onto a military base. Little you do not know is on that border, there's also a military base right outside of... oh my God, it's not Sila Vista. That's the name of the mall there. Oh, come on, man. What's... Juarez. So right outside of Juarez, that's where. So they were flying drones over there, a massive amount of drones. But we're going to go ahead and play this video so we all pretend to get scared.
I think what we have here is something major. 10 days, that's 1,000 flights. That's about 175,000 people that won't be flying into a city that had really no other close by air service options. This is not a minor thing, but Fort Bliss might be part of it. But I really do think they've discovered something major on the ground in that area, El Paso and Santa Teresa, that means we might be attacked very badly. They wouldn't do this otherwise. This is not minor at all.
So the El Paso airport is responding to the FAA closure. This is what they said in the statement. The FAA on short notice, issued a temporary flight restriction, halting all flights to and from El Paso and our neighboring community, Santa Teresa, New Mexico. The restriction prohibits all aircrafts operating, including commercial cargo and general aviation, to February 20th. What do you make of that statement?
Oh my God!
It means they have found something in El Paso, in the area.
No, they
that
haven't.
is a threat that's going to take them at least 10 days to try to ferret out and neutralize. This ain't minor. I mean, I just can't get over. This is not a broken wire in an air traffic control system. This is something where there is something on the ground in El Paso right now today that
Doesn't have to be in the
is
ground.
geared to shooting down or destroying airplanes. I mean, that they wouldn't.
Dude, where do they get these fucking people? Okay, Fox, listen to me. Listen, Fox. You may not. I'll put on a suit and tie, okay? I'll dress up. I'll look pretty. So will Leeroy. But you're getting bad intel. I've listened to this shit, and there's like Paul Morrow is amazing. He's a great person. Super Chat World Radio, funny. The left's outrage is more about who done it, not what was done from the same people who's more upset about the words we use in the message. Amen. Listen.
Well stated.
Very well stated. Folks, you're getting bad intelligence. What you're doing is you're putting on doomsayers. You're putting on doom scrollers so you get clicks. You know what I would have said? I said, well, you guys were all freaked out last year about drones. And more than likely, the only thing Juarez has, since it doesn't have an air force, it doesn't have surface-to-air missiles, and it literally won't even listen to the communists, and they'll fucking kill them too, is because there has been a war going on between the cartels literally on Juarez. It has been a demilitarized zone. More than likely, they're using unconventional warfare style, which is probably drones. They're probably inning Fort Bliss's airspace. They're also worried about civilian planes. So they're making sure that the retaliation from Venezuela and some of the Cali cartels and etc., they're not going to go ahead and hit the American airspace. So they're going to shut that down. Fort Bliss is going to do it because they are anti-air capabilities and desert warfare base at Fort Bliss. That's what their predominantly their mission of theater is anti-air and desert warfare. So they are going to shut down the civilian air. That's it. They're probably going to have increased cap. And they're going to use they probably use a shit ton of electronic countermeasures and electronic EW warfare to bring down these drones. And they're ensuring that it's stabilized before they turn on the air again. That's what's happening. I'll bet you $50 billion. But I could have told Fox that. And Leeroy could have told Fox that, because even though we may not have an exact idea, we can tell you what it's not. It's not surface-to-air missiles. It's not Stinger missiles. Give me a fucking break.
Right. Matt's assessment is spot on. And if I were a drug cartel, right, I would do the math and figure out, all right, how many drones would I need to send to get X number of percentage of my product across the border? And how many do I expect to lose? How many do I expect to lose and still be profitable? Right? So if whatever that number is, if it's 1,500 drones, fine. I expect to lose 300 to 500 of them. Right? Now, I don't know the exact numbers, but walk with me on this, right? If I've already done the math and figured out what it takes to still be profitable, all right, now all I need is the number of drones in a flight path. And if that just so happens to interfere with airspace, well, I don't care. I'm still making my money. And so Matt's assessment is spot on. More than likely, and I don't know where they got that guy, like why he said whatever was happening on the ground was cause enough to ground things in the air, unless it was actual SAM missiles that were spotted, which is not going to be the case, right? It's going to be something like drones. It's going to be there was too many of them in the air, or something that was happening flying too low in or around airport airspace that caused the disruption, and they needed to control it.
Or maybe civilian aircraft. It's not like this isn't a possibility, but I promise you it wasn't a singular. It wasn't a Cessna or some Piper Cub.
Right.
Okay. You needed a replicated event that was essentially low cost and low skill, which would be drones. Maybe even RC aircraft. But that's the problem, is RC aircraft won't work that way, because RC aircraft can be very easily interrupted with electronic countermeasures. Drones are a little bit different. They work on different bands. They work on different frequencies. But we have every single drone on the planet. The United States has the ability to turn off and ground like that. If you don't know that, go to Washington, D.C. and try to fly a drone. Go get a Chinese-made drone off of Amazon, turn it on, and try to fly it in D.C. You can't. And there's nothing you can do. The FAA completely controls that. And that airspace is 100% controlled by Fort Bliss. And also, if you want to even go further than that, by NORAD. They have ground sensors, they have air sensors, they have interrupters, they have anti-drone technology, all of that shit. They were just making sure they did a stand down. They did the same thing. Remember when I told you they did the same thing in Maryland and all you guys are like, there's a mothership of drones that are off the East Coast and it's the North Koreans invading. And I told you, no, it's not. And I broke down all those photographs with Leeroy and I told you, that's a drone, that's a drone, that's a drone, that's a drone, that's a drone. That's a drone we can't talk about, and we know that's in testing, and that's probably another reason why you can't fly in it. Remember when we did that? We're like, oh, shit, we know what that is, and we can't talk about it.
It's amazing how many of those alien aircraft seem to have used U.S. mandated
running board lights,
legal lighting patterns. You know, red on the left, green on the right. Wow, they all do that intergalactically? That's amazing.
Wow. Blinking LED lights that are all in sequence with FAA regulations. It's amazing. Folks,
that's astounding.
James says, Leeroy knows more than he can say. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a confliction that both of us have. The thing is that I have a little bit more liberty than he does, but I never cross into that line either. He's got to be tight-lipped, and you're right. There's things he can't say. There's things that I can't say, but definitely more things that he can't say. I'm not.
I will definitely tell you this. There are times and situations where I will intentionally not watch the news or not look at what's happening at work, just so that when I want to do a show later, I don't have to remember, oh, wait, did I read something about this? And now I know I can't talk about it. If I'm completely ignorant to a subject matter, right? Then I feel like I'm actually at more liberty to discuss it. Because if I read something at work, now all of a sudden I have to register it. All right, what can I say? How did we collect it? Wait, what was the classification on that? And that happens all the time.
James says nothing moves in our airspace without knowledge. James, nothing moves around the world without our knowledge. There's
some truth to that,
brother. Nothing moves on the planet without us knowing. If Bear Foxtrots take off, we know. So the United States and our ability, just know that we are in prime position around the world to read every single aircraft that takes off. And it doesn't matter what technology. China can say, I've got a 6th generation. No, they don't. And we know. And Russia, I've got a super secret stealth. No, you don't. They can't even do it with subs anymore. They were great in the 80s and 90s with their subs. The Akula-class submarines were absolutely incredible. The boomers that they were pushing out were amazing. They can't put anything in the water without us knowing. They can't even dip a toe in the water without us knowing. The United States has 100% eyes on everything from a weapon system that they put out. And anything that we can't, that is also where human intelligence and system analysis comes in, where we will hunt it and we will find it and we will identify it. We will not kill it, but we will expose it. Because that's the great thing. That's the great thing. We were at a point where we would have to go out and hunt it and eye it and find it and then catalog it and index it. Now, we get that automatically. So our skill set of going out and hunting and finding, we're not even using at this point.
Right.
And we're trained to do that too.
Like the balloons that happened 2 and 3 years ago. You think that those just showed up on the radar?
That's right. You think we didn't know?
I guarantee that the United States had known about those 5 years before they were even launched.
Yeah. It's just, you just don't understand what you think the government, see, the government isn't very good at keeping secrets and having these very huge, elaborate plans and making the wheels turn, but they are very, very good at having a massive amount of intel and not giving a fuck. That's the best way I can tell you. They collect intel at the teraflops by the second. And they just
put out reports. We put out reports, and then the IC, the intelligence community, get frustrated when nothing happens from said reports because it wasn't politically advantageous, or simply because it fell on deaf ears. So like this whole, if you go back to 9/11, you know, there were reports that said, hey, something is happening, and just nobody gave it any credence, yet the reports were there. So there's in fact so much information that gets pumped out now that for anybody to to assimilate all of that and then try and put everything in a rack and stack to say this is the most credible threat. It's a difficult job to begin with, but a lot of the IC, we get frustrated by how much information, how many reports we put out that just never even get looked at.
I'm going to say one more thing and then we're going to go. And Leeroy will either confirm or deny what I'm saying. During the 80s and 90s and 2000s early, from a naval warfare and air warfare standpoint, and even satellite warfare, space warfare, we were, I would say, in the 70s and 80s, running with other people running alongside of us, and we were trying to outpace them. Around the 90s and 2000s, we were waiting for countries to learn how to walk. And 2010 to 2020, we were waiting for them to actually get off their backs and rolling over. At this point in military history, we're waiting for people to be born.
That's fair. I can see some of the analogy in that. Yeah.
There's some high flyers out there, and there's some weapon systems that are fundamentally very, very effective that they can't afford. So really what it comes down to...
That is 1,000% true.
So it's just, yes, they could take out a carrier. It's very feasible, but they're not taking out 11. And the retaliatory strikes that we have and the capability that we have would long solve the problem before they have the ability to take out simultaneously every carrier that we have. And even if they do, then they still have to take out our bases. And if they take out their bases, they have to take out the weapon systems that they don't know about. And also using their weapon systems against them. That's another form that they don't understand. The United States is far superior from every other country out there, and they don't even understand the capabilities that we have. Go read some of the reports in Venezuela and what happened, where hundreds of people said, I physically felt ill. I could not respond. I could not lift my weapon. I physically felt sick, like I had vertigo. I threw up on the spot. Just listen to some of the shit coming out of there, and you have to realize that some of it is rumor, and others is just don't understand what we're capable of.
Matt called me that day right before we were getting ready to go on the show, and we were talking a little bit about that, where I had mentioned, and it was funny because I got done explaining that, oh yeah, we've had acoustic devices like that for a long time. LRAD is not classified. We put those on cargo vessels to dissuade pirating, right? And so it wasn't too much of a leap to go, okay, well, there's a commercially available LRAD, and then is there something that's been more militarized? Is there something that is not off the shelf that has been specifically designed to cause those effects? And we had discussed this on the phone, and then I came home, and turns out the news was talking about that. And I was like, oh my God, they're saying exactly what I just said, almost to the word. Yeah.
We used LRAD in Minneapolis in front of the ICE facility. It's used by police. Folks, all you need to do is just recognize that there's decibel emitters that put out a certain frequency that disrupt human brain patterns. What do you think a flashbang does? It overloads your senses with a certain amount of sound. They just have ones that are more passive. So what you don't know about the United States government, it doesn't matter. The point is
probably a good thing.
The United States, when you're talking about people working with billions and we're working with trillions, T's and B's are not even remotely the same. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. All right. We're out of here. Leeroy, thanks for tonight, man. It was great to see you. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get your audio working. We're going to figure that out. I love to have you looking great graphically. And you and I let's talk. Let's have a day. We'll talk on Thursday. And I think there's a very simple solution to have your camera work with your computer, and then we can put your old mic up, and then we're full joy until we get the new system in place. Yeah. Okay?
This was put together very much on the fly, very hodgepodge. I think with a little bit of tweaking and some fresh equipment, this would look every bit as good. Not as good as you, because I can't look that good, but
it's impossible.
Certainly we can make it look, we can make it look a lot better anyway.
See you later, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow, Friday. Hey, it's Red Friday. Not a jacket Friday, but it's Red Friday. And remember, we got Chris Tonto pronto. Did I tell you Jessica Lynch is coming on?
On Friday?
No, but she's coming on. Jessica Lynch.
Oh, no.
Jessica Lynch, 2003 captive, Iraq War. Remember? Jessica Lee.
Yes, I do remember that. Yes,
she's going to be coming on, dude. So we're getting her, and we've got a shit ton of interviews. There's a senator.
When's
in Virginia
Chris coming on?
I don't know. Soon, but I don't know if we're gonna co-op that. I don't know yet. I don't know. We got to have your audio shit worked out first. We'll figure it out. I don't know, but I really want to get into what they just found and the arrest that they made on one of the attackers. I also want to get into Hillary Clinton, and I'm gonna dive into with Chris a little bit, but I also don't want to overwhelm him either. You know what I mean? So he's doing this as a favor to us. He's kind of retired from podcasting, but he found out that Olivia called. He's like, I'm going on Matt's show. Tell him I'll be there. And just he's such an amazing dude. So
he really is.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. We love you. Appreciate you.
Love you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The Dumb Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.